Hello. Hello. My name is Mr. Mock and I am Scarred for Life. And we are back here tonight talking with Mr. Manny, who is right here.
Hello.
Hey, Manny, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you again, brother.
You too, brother. How's it going, man?
It's good.
You ended the last one after we got unceremoniously disconnected. I could still hear you talking a little bit for a few minutes. And you said something about that some atheists are, what did you say, church hurt?
No, not just atheists, just a lot of us in general. I count myself included, you know. We're
Okay.
church hurt, and it's just a variety of different pains, And there's a lot of problems in the church, you know.
That's for
But
sure.
yeah. Yeah, I could name them for you. The child abuse scandal, the financial abuses of the Catholic Church, right? Like they're
And
perennial almost,
the one other thing too is that it really doesn't matter which like denomination of church. You can do any denomination and put scandal after it and do a search,
Yeah,
and you're going to find something.
hundred
It's
percent.
pretty
Because
pervasive, isn't it?
yeah, it's 100%. It's our because it's man. It's who we are as people. Like the people are fallible, and that's something that I tell some of my friends or maybe people listening to me on my channel or whatever. It's like if you're gonna judge the church, any denomination,
Mhm.
based on its leadership or membership or whatever, you're screwed. It's a non-starter. They all suck. It
Well,
just doesn't work.
that's funny that you say that because doesn't it say in the Bible that you will know them by their fruits?
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
so you should probably stay away from any like organization that's fruits or like pretty rotten fruit, right?
Absolutely. But what I'm trying to say
Is
is like, for example, the fruits that I'm referring to that you should stay away are, clearly, if going to the Catholic example, child abuse or something like this, right?
mhm.
Then this person should be defrocked. The entire organization should be,
How about put in
cleaned out of
jail?
these people.
How
Yeah,
about
no,
how? I mean,
killed, bro.
defrocked,
Forget jailed,
like
killed,
killed?
right?
No, I don't think that the death penalty really is appropriate for many things.
Well,
Like
no, okay, but some heavy punishment. You know what I mean? Child abuse is as bad as it gets.
pretty much, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, uh,
So that would be the fruit of that individual. But
okay,
my
but I'm
whole
talking
point
about the
is
fruit of an organization and like a belief system. Like,
but this
wouldn't that be how you know that something's not good? Is if it's something is pervasive throughout a belief system, doesn't that mean that something's wrong with the belief system?
you can so I would say so again, if we're specifically talking about the Roman Catholic example with the child abuse and
Mm.
any other issues with the Catholic Church.
Yes, there's many.
So I would say one, I think it was definitely a big problem, obviously, right? And it may still be, we
Mhm.
just may be unreported. You know what I mean? I don't know what I don't know, you
Right.
know. Um, but what I would say is that that's never been a teaching of the church, right? And so
Did you freeze? Oh, I'm not sure if I disconnected or if he disconnected or what. I still show that I'm there. Yeah, I'm still online. So I don't know. Manny was here. I'll wait a few minutes. Okay. Well, where I was going with people being church hurt is that if an organization is horrible and everybody knows it, then shouldn't we be more aware that that is not an organization that we should be like taking part in? Oh, let's see. Are you are you back, brother?
I think I'm back, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh
I
no, it's
just
all good.
computer.
Okay, it's all good.
So
All of a
the
sudden
thing
you
is,
were
I have a
there and then
gaming
you weren't.
computer. Yeah, I got a game computer, so I just like leave this thing on for like 3 weeks. So
You should always
it
restart,
might,
man.
yeah. So let me just get set up here
Okay.
and
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I
So
was
here we
just
go.
saying that the reason that I'm asking about the being, you said people being church hurt and these
Yep,
organizations, don't you find it understandable that people have like feelings about these organizations?
of course. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, and you just kind of blithely said that that's why people don't believe anymore. Then you were kind of going on that that's the reason why that they don't believe
I
is
wouldn't
that
say
they're
that's the
church
only
hurt.
reason. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say that's the only reason.
Okay,
I
because I
wouldn't.
want to say that I'm not church hurt. The reason that I don't believe is because it's not true.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, no, it's not
I
sure.
understand. I understand. I got the Johnny treatment last time. I
Well, okay,
understand.
no, but seriously, that leads me to my next question for you is,
Yeah.
can something be true and false at the same time?
No.
No. So we already talked about Adam and Eve, and you say it's some.
But let me say this about Adam and Eve.
Okay.
Right. So I'm going off of your assumption or what you're telling me that whatever the retroviral DNA means
The,
precludes Adam and
the
Eve and the other people that are mentioned in Genesis 2.
ev-
I but I don't know that to be true. You know what
okay,
I mean? I'm not a doctor.
everything that we know about genetics precludes the Adam and Eve story being true in any way. And you know this because you said this yourself. You have 2 children and you know how children are made. And you have already accepted that that's how every creature that has babies, that's how it happens, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to spin the wheels on this, but in Genesis 2 we have other people. So who are these other people?
Well, that's a big problem too, because where did they come from? If God
Well,
made
yeah,
the first
that's
people
my
and we're
point.
all connected to those 2 people and we're all sinners because those 2 people, then where did those other people come from? Isn't that a
Well,
problem for you?
no,
Oh,
not
why
really.
not?
Because I find it to be very interesting.
I
Find
don't
it to be
find it
very
to be
interesting.
interesting. I find it to be very suspect.
Okay, I mean that's maybe a synonym, interesting and
Well,
suspect.
no, that's not a synonym. I mean, you can be interested in something
Yeah,
and find it suspicious, yes,
yeah.
but suspicion is a very different like connotation, is it not? I find it suspect because it doesn't make any logical sense. The entire story
Okay,
doesn't make any
you know
logical sense.
the story itself is fantastical. Like the story itself is out there. It's wild. You
Right.
know.
So
Yeah.
if the things that are attributed to the God are not true, how is the God supposed to be true?
But again, you see, what I'm saying is, I'm not telling you that it's not true. I'm saying there's in Genesis 2, there's other people,
Okay,
right? And so we have Genesis 1.
that really doesn't change the fact of the DNA proving that the story is fantasy. You had just said the
Bueno,
story is fantastical.
fantastical, but not
Right, but
fantasy.
that means
Uh,
fantasy. Come
no,
on,
no, it's an
Manny.
adjective. Fantasy would be maybe a noun, a description of a genre. Fantastical is an adjective.
Right, they're different forms of the same exact word.
Yeah, I know, but when I use it, I'm not telling you that it's
Well,
not true.
you're saying it's fantastical, which means it's
I'm very
fantasy.
loquacious and I'm eloquent, and I'm using different words to describe my point of view. You
You
know,
know, Manny, I really do enjoy talking to you, brother. You
it's
seem
fun.
you
It's
see
fun.
I know you seem like you're like the best guy, man.
Hey, listen, brother. Honestly, I'm not. I didn't mean. Sorry, when I was talking to, because I saw your stream, I saw my recording and I saw your screen, and I didn't know you were. I thought I was like, well, whatever. I'll just finish my video. I wasn't attempting to imply or infer that you don't believe because you're church hurt. I was kind of
I
talking
know.
about myself. I was
Uh,
talking about myself. You know what I
and
mean? I
just your
was,
general experience of what you take from
yeah,
people. Yeah.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
get that. And I just wanted to address that because most people on my side that have been in the church that were, I mean, I was raised in it, man. I've had these arguments with people since I was 8 years old, man. Like, not even joking.
But
I,
and that's what I wanted to ask you
Okay,
about.
hold on.
That's
But most
yeah.
people on this side, we're not like hurt like that, like we're upset about the church. We're hurt because we were lied to our entire lives. And we don't want other people to be lied to like we were. Because when we
Sure.
found out what the reality of the situation is, it was devastating for a lot of us.
Yeah. I
You
can
get that,
definitely see that.
right? Do you
Yeah, I
get
can see
that
that.
that most atheists have been in your shoes? And you said you
I
were an
well, no,
you
I
well
was
you
an
said, I was
atheist.
just say you said you were an atheist for a long
Yeah,
time.
I
Like
can tell you how I became an atheist. I remember the day.
were you the kind of atheist that still believed in God?
No, hell no.
Well, you
I was like,
said
this is absurd.
oh yeah, I know, but that's how we like found each other, right? On your video, you said that you thanked God even when you didn't believe in him.
No, but okay, if you
I
watch that
know you
short,
say no.
no, if you put that short, no, this is what I said. What I said was, and it's in the short too. I said, I thank God that even when I didn't believe in him, my first inclination when I got a job and I had a
Ah,
salary was to look for a family. So I'm thanking God now. You understand what I'm saying? Do you see
yeah,
what I'm
I
trying to
see
say?
what the point you're trying to say, but that's
Yeah,
really not how it came off in the short. But at any rate, it led
yeah,
us to this conversation,
yeah.
which I
Which
think
is
is a
good.
plus.
This was
I
a
think it's a
blessing to
plus.
talk to you.
Yes.
You know, yeah. You know, I listen. I like it. You know what I've been telling. I told my wife today about you because I have this experience where when I was an atheist, and maybe we can go into that later, but when I was an atheist, obviously all of my friends, we were all kind of in that same mindset, the same milieu of like this is absurd and ridiculous and whatever, and we were right there, no problems. And what I found was when I like kind of rediscovered my faith, let's say, or reintegrated myself with the faith, and I started reading the Bible and I found like these interesting things, and I tried to share it with my friends, they were like hostile to it. They didn't want, but they weren't hostile to it in the way you are, right? Like what I appreciate you is you're transparent,
Uh,
right? You're like, this is bullshit.
I
I
am
don't,
I am an avowed anti-theist.
but do you, I can respect that more than somebody who like doesn't know and then condescends and it's like, don't talk to me about this. I don't have any time. And I'm just like,
Well,
what do you mean? I'm like, come on, man. It's different. It's different with you. With them, it was like, you're less than. You're not even my friend anymore because of this. But it wasn't because I'm trying. It was a very weird experience that I had. It was a very weird
yeah.
experience that I had with some friends.
It's very different when you're in person, and especially if you've known somebody for a long time and they think that you're a certain way, and then all of a sudden you become a different way because
Yeah,
it feels like you just got brainwashed. And what happened to my friend? They just fell into this cult.
yeah, yeah. That's kind of what they were thinking.
That's what happened to you.
Yeah. Well, no, I did it to myself. You
But
know.
do you understand that you're in a cult? Do you know that?
Bueno, it depends, no? Because
You are in a cult.
bueno, it depends because a cult has several characteristics, right? One
Uh,
of them is that they require you to shun outsiders. One of them is that they want you to be very
well,
insular and only deal with
isn't
yourself.
that the very definition of like the sinners versus the saved?
No, because we're all sinners, bro.
Right,
In
but
mind
as
that
long
in the Catholic Church, bro, you still a sinner, bro. You better keep working.
but you
You know
said
what I
you're
mean?
not you said you're not down with the Catholic Church no more. You're leaning towards Orthodox.
Yeah, I listen.
So
It's
what?
difficult for me. It's very difficult for me. It's
So
I'm
who like who gets to go to heaven and who gets to go to hell? Is it you have
no,
to?
that's up to God. That's
It's
up
up
to
to
God.
God. Like
That's
doesn't it
up to
say
God.
in the book that there's only ways to have through Jesus?
Yeah, well, Jesus is God. You know,
Okay, like who says so? Jesus says so. He doesn't really
Jesus.
say so in the Bible.
So, well, no,
He
he
kind
says
of
it. The Father and
well
I are
he
one.
kind of like skirts around a couple. He might have said something
No,
about
he
it.
said the Father and I are one. In the same way you worship the Father, you
Yeah,
should worship me. You
yeah,
know,
and we always have to remember that this is the telephone game too. Like we talked about that a little bit. The translations get
sure.
all iffy here and there. That's why
But
I
I
don't
then
like.
I but I take it to the fact that these other people that heard him and saw him and claimed he was resurrected, when they were like, "Yo,
Claimed.
you better," yeah,
Keyword there. Keyword
claimed
there,
for
brother.
sure. And they were like,
Claimed.
"Hey, you better stop saying these lies about this Messiah fellow resurrecting." They were like, "No, I'd rather die. Kill me."
Well, that lots of people believe things and they get killed for them, right?
Sure, but they don't believe they're lying. Is my point.
Well, that doesn't matter if they believe they're lying. It
It
doesn't
matters.
matter.
It matters
It
for me.
matters if it's the truth.
I know.
Okay,
I think
because
that there's maybe some evidence here that I
okay,
think I'm going to
is the
throw my
truth
shot with Jesus.
dependent on what people say?
No, the
The
truth is what it is.
the truth is what it is. Very good. Okay, if something is true, can it be false?
If something is true, no, it's like an oxymoron. No, it's like
Right.
a paradox.
Okay, so we know that genetics is real, right? And I
Okay,
know
but
you, I know,
I don't know anything about genetics, brother.
but you do,
I
but
can't.
you
I
do.
have to take your word
No,
for
no,
it.
no, no,
I have to
no, no.
take your word for it.
Just listen to me for a second, and you'll understand where I'm going here. Okay, you
Yeah,
know that you and your wife had you did the deed, and you had babies, right? You got two
right.
kids. You said,
Yes.
right? So you know how the basics. You know the birds and the bees, right? That's all
Bien
I'm getting
fan.
at. That's all I'm
Bien
getting
fan.
at. You know, this is a fact of life, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is not in dispute, is it?
No, no.
Because though this is true, it cannot be false.
Right. Well, no,
Okay.
except for the virgin birth of Jesus Christ, a parthenogenesis.
Okay. There is creatures that
Yeah.
do this where they
Yeah.
just make. I mean, it's kind of
Like
like
clones or
how
whatever.
this is not a very apt analogy, but I don't know if you saw my page or not. I grow weed, right?
I
Sometimes,
saw a couple
okay,
pictures. Yeah.
sometimes a female plant will decide that it wants to have seeds really bad, and it will just pop out male parts, and it happens.
Wow.
Yep,
Okay.
and it makes seeds. And that there are creatures that, in the lack of a suitable partner, they will somehow, some way, nature finds a way. That does happen. That is a very rare thing, is it not?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is
Exceedingly
that's
rare.
why
I
it's
would imagine that's very rare.
right? That's why it's supposed to be such a miraculous thing in the Bible, right?
Yeah. Well, no,
Okay,
I think what makes it so a miracle is something that like defies uh like
it's
all normality. Yeah.
supernatural, right?
So it can't just be that it's unlikely. It has to
It
be
has to be
like
supernatural,
impossible. Yeah, it has to be
which
supernatural.
means above the natural, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Supernatural, right?
yeah.
So anything that's out of the ordinary, it would not happen in the normal sense. That would be supernatural.
Right.
Unless there is some biological thing, like we're talking about, how they're like
Right.
I can't remember the word that you used, but yes.
A
Oh, yes,
parthenogenesis.
that's right. I should know that, but I don't.
I got you,
um,
brother.
so, barring that, you're saying that the Jesus miracle is important, right? That
Well,
the
it's like one of
virgin
the
birth and
fulfilling of the
everything.
prophecies. Yeah.
Okay, isn't that only important if the God is real?
Bueno, yeah, of course.
Because if it's not, then isn't Jesus just a guy who said that he was the Son of God?
He could still be God could still be real, and he could have just been some guy too.
Right.
Right.
This is
Like
true. This is
it's
true. Now,
another
okay.
variable.
One thing that I do want to make clear to you is, like, no one can say that there might not be something out there somewhere that we
Right.
might label as a God. But one thing, Manny, that we can most definitely say is it is
Genetics.
not, not genetics. It is not any God concept that humanity has invented. It is not. We know this, and we know this through direct comparison by
But what
taking
are you
the
talking about?
claims.
The genetic code?
No, no, I'm talking about you take the claims of any of these religions, and
Yeah.
then you can take what is demonstrated to be real, demonstrable reality, things that are true, and we can
Yeah.
show them to be true. You can compare all of these religious claims against demonstrated reality, and they do not match.
I understand your point. What I'm trying to say is that Genesis 2 gives you that out.
It does not. Do you
Yeah.
know the difference between rationalizing and justifying?
Maybe not, no.
Okay, should we look this up?
If you or just tell me, I believe you.
No, it's okay. I got Google open. We could just look.
Let me ask you, did you lower the quality of your stream by any chance?
No.
No? Is
It's
it
on
me?
it's on variable bit rate, and sometimes if it's like the internet, if it gets real busy or whatever, it gets slowed down sometimes. I don't know.
Okay.
I need to get my router down here. I just haven't got a piece of coax to run my cable over here.
But it's not me, right? There's nothing I can do.
I don't think it's you. As long as I don't really care about the video so much, as long as we can see what we're seeing and hear what we're hearing. Rationality versus rationale versus justification. Oops, that's the wrong one. Okay, while the terms rationale and justification are often used interchangeably, Justification is typically used to explain or defend a decision or action, often in response to criticism or when reason is needed. Rationale,
So
on
I'm
the other,
justifying.
what's that?
So I'm justifying.
I think so. And
Yeah.
rationale, on the other hand, provides the underlying reasons or logic behind the decisions or action, often setting the stage for understanding it. So you're not giving a rationale, you're giving
No.
a justification,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So isn't that bad? If all you
I
have is
don't think
just
so.
no, if all you have is justifications and not an actual logical rationale, doesn't that send a signal that like red flags don't start going off in your mind?
I guess I know what you're saying.
But
It's
why
like it's
why
kind of
should
circular,
but why
what
should
I'm
you
doing.
have to make all these justifications?
I'll
It
tell you
shouldn't,
why.
if it's real, shouldn't
Yeah.
it just be real and match the things that we can show are real?
But so before I answer that, I dispute that the DNA precludes that. I don't know that to be true. I
Okay.
looked it up. I googled it, and they were like, "Well, this doctor over here says one thing, doctor over there." I don't know this.
Well,
You know
I
what I mean?
bet you those doctors that say that it like that meshes, I bet you they're like answers in Genesis type stuff.
No, I got it from ChatGPT, so I don't know.
Well, I'm
You
sure.
know
What
what I
did
mean?
they reference? Like, you got to see. Like,
I can tell you, but I
okay,
don't. I don't. It doesn't. I
okay.
don't really want to.
If you want to know a good source to find biological information, because you want to go for like the horse's mouth, right? Like, how about like a straight up scientist guy, Forrest Valkai? You know that name?
No.
You don't know Forrest? Can you write it down for me? You got a pen and paper right
I
there?
can, but look, I looked up the thing.
Which
Can I
one?
tell you the doctor that I found?
Uh huh.
So okay, so this is Chat GPT here,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And I like read it quickly, you know. Pero let me see here. Coño, where is it? Ugh.
Hey, where do you live, bro? Just out of
In
curiosity.
Tampa.
Tampa. I think you said Florida the other day. Um, you.
On a scientific level, it says. So again, maybe your forest fella,
Mhm.
is gonna say that this
He's a
is
biologist.
nonsense. Yeah, he's a super doctor,
And a
but it
science
says,
educator.
yeah, he's a genius.
He is
Here
actually.
it says, it goes, science does not disprove historical Adam and Eve. Genetic models are based on statistical assumptions about mutation rates, reproduction, and time. These models cannot look back and observe actual ancestors. In fact, scientists such as Dr. Joshua Swamidas, a
Yeah.
computational biologist, has shown it's perfectly compatible to say there was a real Adam and Eve around 6 to 10,000 years ago, while recognizing other humans existed too. And then,
That doesn't make any sense, though, does it?
I don't know, bro.
Ah, come
And here's the
on,
thing.
come on.
I don't.
How
That's
could
some
there be
doctor,
how
computational, whatever. I don't know.
no? It doesn't matter about any of that. It matters if you use your brain, Manny. You
Okay.
know how babies are born. God said in the book He made two people, right?
Yeah. In Genesis
Right.
1, he made two people,
And
and then in Genesis 2, there's other people.
I know, which is a problem.
But it's only a problem, and this is a justification, right? It's only a problem if you want it to be a problem. Both can be true.
But Manny, both
Yeah.
can't be true.
Why not?
Because Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 are different. So which
Yeah.
one is true? You
But
can't
they're
have,
different, but they're not contradictory.
but they are.
Why?
Doesn't one say that the plants got made before the sun, and the other one says the other way around? And there's like
But
animals before Eve, and then Eve before animals. In one of
Yes.
them, Adam and Eve are made together, and then in the
Yes.
other one, Adam is made first, and then God has him look through all the animals and name them, and says, "I can't find
a
a good partner." And then
Yeah.
then he goes to sleep, and God steals his rib and makes a female clone. Right? There's two different versions of the story, and neither one of them match what we know to be true.
I mean, you say that, but Dr. Swanee,
Nope.
whatever, computational biologist
Nope.
says something else.
You know how babies are made.
Yeah, but I'm not disputing.
But if Adam and Eve were true, and he made the first two, and we're all tainted by those first two, that means that we're all connected to that, right?
In a sense, yes. But this is what I mean. So, but the Book of Enoch.
So we
is
already talked about incest, right?
Yeah.
So what happened to all the incest babies?
Well, there's other people in Genesis too.
Well, where did they come from? If they were not
I don't
connected to
know.
the
They're
sin, right?
monkeys. They evolved from
What?
monkeys or
So
whatever.
what? So
Yeah.
everything with you is they because this could have happened, that could have happened.
It's
Instead, why?
justification. We looked it up.
I know,
Rationality versus
I know.
justification.
So why
Yeah.
don't you stop justifying stuff and actually go find out what the real story is?
Because this is at the crux of the issue, right? This is what I want to tell you. My faith doesn't depend on Genesis, right? To me, it could say the frog spawned on Mars, and they came. I'd be like, okay, we're gonna have to make that work. You know what I mean? We're gonna have to figure something out here to explain that. My faith
That's a
is.
problem for me, Manny. That
I
means
know,
that
I know, I know, I know.
you do not care what is real.
It's
You
not that I
will just
don't care what is
run.
real.
You run with
No,
whatever you can make work.
this is what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to tell you is that my and this is so subjective though, and it feels a little weird always sharing this, but whatever. I had a personal experience in where I felt convicted by the Holy Spirit,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I was doing a kind of a commercial deal, a business deal, and where I was taking advantage of somebody else.
So you
That
felt
was like,
guilty.
yeah, it was a drug addict. He was a drug addict. He was like overdosing, and we were going to kick him out of an apartment, and we were going to keep his deposit. And he paid like the whole year up front. It was like, almost like $8,000, something like this.
And you were going to screw him over, and you felt
Yeah,
guilty.
I was like, screw this guy, screw him, get him out of there. He's lowering property values.
So the Holy Spirit, so the Holy Spirit choked you up, and then what?
Bro, it was no, it didn't choke me up, bro. It was like my soul hurt. Like in the
Because you
middle of
felt
me,
guilty. That's
but
called guilt, brother.
But it was like a
Because you were
physical.
about to fuck him over.
Yeah, man, it was bad. It was bad.
That's not the Holy Spirit. That's you.
I know.
That's
But
because,
listen,
Manny, that's because you deep down are a good guy and you didn't want to do it.
No, I'm not a good guy, because if I was a good guy, I wouldn't have had. I
If
would have
you
had that
weren't,
inclination.
if you
to screw
weren't
him
a
over.
good guy, you wouldn't have had that feeling.
Yeah. If I wasn't, if I was a good person, I would have never been okay with screwing this person over to begin with. Do you see my point? That was in me,
Right.
and my soul rebelled. And then after that, after I had that moment of like, what's happening here? I had so many wonderful, what you would call coincidences, that I call, wow, look, I was like, holy shit, I'm awake now and I'm looking for patterns.
Do you know the term
pattern-seeking animal?
Do you know the term confirmation bias?
Yeah, 100%. Like
right, that's what that is.
Confirming all of my biases, and it was lovely.
But no. Do you know the term confirmation bias? That's not a good thing.
Well, it's not. It can be terrible, but for me, it's been fantastic.
Having a confirmation bias is not a good thing. It means you're lying to yourself.
Okay, maybe.
That's what you're doing, Manny.
I like it.
Huh? You like lying to yourself?
No, I don't like lying to myself. I like this discovery, these coincidences, reading the Bible, looking at all these interesting coincidences, seeing Jesus prefigured. Right. Bro, it's super interesting.
And that's exactly what I said, is you do not care about what is real.
Bueno, what I'm telling you is
not
Jesus
good.
Real? Is Jesus real?
No.
Yeah, he was real.
Well, there might have been a guy named Jesus. Yeah, that the story
might have. It was.
Well,
he was there.
Let me finish my sentence. I said there might have been a guy named Jesus that the stories were like written or based upon, that have been like exploded and expounded upon over the what, centuries now. How many times have the stories been rewritten?
Well, typically when the messianic figure dies, the movement ends. This is the only one that the guy dies and it explodes.
No, that's how cults work usually, man.
No, cults die when their leaders die. That's what happened in Waco, Texas, usually. And the guy with the Kool-Aid in the jungle.
There's always somebody sticking around that believes in that shit.
Not like Jesus.
Well, it happened with Islam.
No, because Islam conquered, right?
So,
and the thing is,
you don't think Christianity conquered?
Well, no.
Do you know the history of Christianity?
Yeah, I love history.
Okay, so how many bloody conquests have the Christians gone on?
Innumerable.
Yeah.
But listen.
So what's up with that? You just said Islam conquered, and you said it like it was a bad thing.
No.
Oh, so it's bad for them, but good for Christians, right?
No. That's not my point. I'm not a squeamish person when it comes to violence and historical things. Okay. It is what it is. This is who we are, know? No, what I'm trying to say is, for example, the difference between Islam and its spread, and Christianity and its spread. What we're talking about in the early stages or whatever is that Christianity went from being the persecuted cult of this messianic figure to then overtaking the empire from within when it became legalized, and then the state religion, right?
Actually, that's funny too. There's a
on
thing.
The contrary, but Islam didn't overtake from within. Islam started off as a military, political, religious movement led by a warlord. So Jesus Christ is like
and
a
he
hippie
dictated
walking around
it,
homeless.
and he dictated it to his followers and said, "Spread this now." Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's I'm not telling you that the conquest, like for example, the Spanish of the New World is wrong or right, but the Muslim one is wrong. I'm not making this, equivocation. I'm just telling you how they started was different, and their leadership is different. Like the main focus is totally different.
Well, not really. Taking over the world is the main focus.
But that's not the focus of Christianity.
It most certainly is.
No, that's not. You don't find the precept of Jesus telling his followers.
What do you think the Catholic Church is, dude?
Okay, but the Catholic Church is not Jesus.
Well, you told me that Jesus was the founder of the Catholic Church, and St. Peter was the first pope. So, so the Catholic Church is explicitly trying to take over the world, dude.
Bueno, what do you mean by take over the world?
It is
like conquer with an army? Is that what you're talking about?
They don't need an army, do they? They already have one. How many followers do the Catholic Church have? How many congregants?
Like 1.3 billion.
So what? Yeah, what army? They only have a 1.3 billion people.
None of these. Listen, I go to Catholic Church. Half of them don't know what the church teaches. The other half are like semi-pagans. It's not. It's a motley mix of people.
I know, but don't you think that's a problem? That all these people
it's a problem for the church, for sure.
I think it's a problem for humanity.
Well, sure. Yeah, as an extension. Yeah, for sure.
I know. I mean, think about it, bro. If everybody is just going, yes, this is true, and I believe it, so therefore it's true. And then they go, this is true, and I believe it, so therefore it's true. And then this guy over here goes, well, I believe this, so this is true. And everybody's doing, this is true, this is true, this is true. And nobody... Hold on. Yeah, don't you think that's a problem?
If what you just said were the case, then yeah.
How many denominations of Christianity are there?
But that's my point. But listen, every single denomination points to the Bible, right? So everybody, even though there's 40,000, 50,000, whatever number you want to...
Which version of the Bible?
Well, that's
the thing. Is everything is so messed up, man.
No, but there's only two versions of the Bible. Okay, there's the Protestant version that has 66 books, and the Catholic version that has Catholic Orthodox version that has 72 books.
You see
everything
that right
else
there?
Is a translation.
Do you see that right there?
Each one of these 45,000, they believe Jesus Christ is the Son of the Triune God.
Not even all of them believe there's a Triune God.
Well, they're not Christians. I mean,
what are you talking about?
The faith.
Sure, they would say you're not a Christian. Don't you know the no true Scotsman fallacy, brother?
I understand.
Come on.
We can trace it to that church. That early church had an address.
Okay, so define what a real Christian is.
It's following the Constantinople Nicene Creed.
Really?
Okay?
Because
yes,
you don't think that there's like churches out there that don't follow that fully consider themselves Christians?
They don't have to say the creed, but they have to teach that. And like I'm talking about, if you do like a study, I'm sure it's like 90 to 95% of all 45,000 denominations, they all teach that.
Really? Are Mormons Christian? I don't think they teach the Nicene Creed.
No,
they consider themselves to be Christians. They follow Jesus Christ.
They don't. You know why? I can tell you why they don't.
They do.
They believe that Jesus Christ, his brother is Lucifer. They believe that God the Father has a physical body.
Everybody, but see, that's what you don't believe, and they do. So you're saying
difference. But
so you're saying that their beliefs are silly and that they're just not real.
But they're not silly. They're not silly for what they believe. They're silly because this is what the Mormons, the Seventh-day Adventists, the Muslims. This is what they do.
Are Jehovah's Witnesses Christians?
No, they're not Christians.
Really? They witness for Jehovah, man.
Yes, but they deny the divinity of Christ. So you're not a Christian.
Well,
that's the definition.
That's what it takes to be a Christian. So what did you say about the Orthodox Christians? Which one?
Yeah. They're the OG Christians.
Which Orthodox one?
So
Isn't
when you
there's like I see right here that there's like
okay,
there's the Oriental Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox. We
all
got
of those. If you were to Google, for example, who founded the Eastern Orthodox
well,
Church,
I don't need to do all that. How come there's so many? Is the
I
question.
because of us, because mankind, our pride, our ego,
Okay.
these problems. Yeah.
Okay. So because of us, there's so many different versions of Christianity. And how, as a novice, layperson, whatever you want to call it, as just a rando off the street who's never, ever, ever heard of any religion before, and I'm presented with 45,000 different denominations of Christianity, and you say yours is the true and correct one. Why am I believing you?
I wouldn't even go that far, brother, to be frank with you. I think
you don't believe in the one true correct God?
No, the God is true, but these different denominations, I'm thinking so I'm Catholic, but I'm looking at Orthodoxy with a lot of love.
Okay,
lately,
so we'll answer the question. Do you believe in the one true God?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you're telling me, as I'm a layperson, I've never heard of religion. You just told me that you believe, and you said you know of him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how are you going to show me that God is real?
I can definitely try. I can tell you what I would say. Okay. This is what I would say. I would say if we are to look at, and you're asking me about the denominations or like between
Muslims and as I said, I've never heard of religion before in this scenario. You have just told me that you believe in the one true God. And you have now tasked with showing me that is indeed the case, that your God is the one true God.
That's a tough one, brother.
And I've just been informed that there are 45,000 denominations that all claim that they have the one and the true. Is my point getting across?
Okay, so if we're talking about denominations, I got you.
Okay, now, is my point getting across or not?
It is. But there is an answer.
Is there?
There is an answer.
I would like to hear this.
The answer is, even though you see 45,000 denominations, it's important to realize that the differences between them are not as great as you think they are. Because the vast majority of these 45,000 will tell you that Jesus Christ is the Son of God who died on the cross for our sins, was resurrected after 3 days.
Not even all of them agree that the God is good.
Well, I would say of the 45,000, the vast majority will tell you that he is.
So you've told me some believe this and some believe that. And
that's all I would say. But that's all I would say. I would say, listen, most of them are going to tell you this thing. Make sure you're looking up. They were going to teach you that, and then start your journey, bro. Start reading the Bible and figure it out.
Well, I also heard that this God of yours, that's the one true God, that if I don't believe in him and his son, Jesus Christ, that I'm going to burn in his fiery pit forever. So,
that's more of an evangelical.
Is this something that I need to worry about? Again, remember in this scenario, I've never heard of anything before. So you need to let me know. Do I need to worry about being tortured by this guy?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. So you don't believe the Bible?
I do. But this is what I'm telling you.
No, I do. Okay. So you already said that something can't be true and false at the same time.
But listen to me. God is just. So God will meet you where you are.
Okay.
You just told me that you've never heard of God. You don't know about Jesus or anything. Would a just God punish you because you don't know something because of your own ignorance?
That's a very good question. And
the church doesn't teach that.
Well, the Bible says that.
The Bible doesn't say that.
It most certainly does.
If you
and you do know that.
God,
don't lie.
To reject God,
don't lie. The Bible says if you don't,
pull me some verses. Then What are you talking about? What are the verses?
What happens to the people who don't go to heaven? You tell me.
Pero that's between them and God. I don't know why they're not going to heaven.
No. You say you're a Christian.
That hell exists? Yeah, hell for sure exists.
So where are all these people going that don't believe in God?
I don't know. That's between them and God. I don't know.
No. I'm not saying you get to pass judgment right now. I'm saying what does it say in the book that happens to the people that don't believe?
Yeah, but it's not about not.
But what does it say, Manny?
But it's not about not believing. It's about rejecting him through your actions, rejecting him through your
sin. And what happens?
then you're going to hell. You reject them,
Oh, then you're going to hell. So if you don't go with,
Very hot.
if you're not down with God, you're going down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very
So
hot. Very
this
hot.
and this is a just God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all,
Remember,
and that's all it takes.
Chosen.
You're choosing not to be convinced of him. Wow.
No, it's not even about not being convinced. It's a very important distinction.
What?
If you don't believe in him, that's one thing. But if you reject him, that's another.
What am I supposed to reject? A fictional character?
There are commandments you're supposed to keep,
okay.
even if you're not a believer.
Okay, well,
these are the Noah
we were here
laws.
A second ago, well, a minute ago now. Does Jesus matter at all if the God is not real?
Yeah. He is God.
Well, okay, no, you just said that he is God. That's just a bald-faced assertion. And I know that that's the same thing that Jesus did. It doesn't matter what Jesus says if the God is a fraud.
Well, I understand that's what you would say.
So if you look at the claims of the God and you take your belief in Jesus and you hold that aside for a little while and you figure out if the God is real or fraud.
Okay, but let me back it up a little bit. When you say the claims that God makes, right?
These are people.
And I think it's an important distinction. This is what makes Christianity different than Islam. Okay. The Bible does not claim, like, for example, Genesis, traditionally, okay, it says that Moses wrote Genesis, Exodus, Deuteronomy.
Yeah, but we know that's not true.
And it's probably some scribes.
You know right. I mean? But we know that Moses didn't write the stuff because he didn't narrate his own death.
Exactly, right?
Like,
who wrote that he died?
Like, come on.
Okay, but we're tracking, right? We're tracking. So, given that, and that's not a like a secret of the church or something, right? Like this is known and established.
I know.
Right? It's like hey, it says Moses wrote it, but it's probably some scribes that copied this.
This is the whole why the Protestants left the Catholic Church in the first place is because they couldn't make the story jive, so they had to make up their own version.
No, the Protestants left, and this is where the critiques of the Catholic Church are sometimes justified, because the Protestants left because the church claimed this level of monopoly that was absent in the first millennium, right?
Because they couldn't make the story jive.
But it's not the story not jiving. They couldn't jive the authority of the church over their lives. They don't see it in the Bible.
Do you
That's
think
what they were
just a random question? Do you think that we are even peripherally aware of all of the church doctrine that was available during the first centuries of the church when it was developing its power and like do you think we're even peripherally aware?
So the first century would be that time right after the death of Jesus, when the church was an oppressed. I said first centuries, but yes.
But in those first hundreds of years, when the church was being established.
Yeah, we have the earliest document. It's called the Didache. It's actually available online.
Okay,
and it's written between the year 80 and 110.
Manny, I don't think you're taking my point. Okay. All of those churches that were founded in all of the old world. Over
one church.
No, Manny, there's 45,000 denominations.
That's a post 1600 event. There was only one church.
Okay, Manny.
Yeah.
Over the hundreds of years, many churches were founded, right?
No, it wasn't until the 1600s.
Okay, over those hundreds of years.
From the 1600s on, yes.
Anytime since the
important. That's already the modern period.
Anytime since the supposed events in all of those hundreds of years, many churches have been founded based upon the teachings of Jesus, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Are we even peripherally aware of all of the things that all of those churches have taught?
I would say, yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't even know that different churches believe different things. Some don't believe in the triune God. Some believe that. Right. So do you think?
But I'm aware. I know what they teach.
Well,
I know what they, like the what's these people called? The Jehovah's Witnesses came and knocked on my door. I came running down the stairs to confront them.
And
I was like, "Hey, you're not Christian."
Okay, so there's one. What about the other 44,999?
Well, here's the thing. the what's
Okay,
very interesting is that the heresies. Yeah.
Manny. Okay, you're skirting my point. Okay,
What
my
is the point?
point,
I'm sorry.
my point,
Yeah.
and my question again is:
Yeah.
do you think that we can be even peripherally aware of all of those teachings through all of those hundreds of years, to all of those different congregations, to all of those different preachers? Filtered through all the different versions of the Bible, filtered through all those congregations.
Yeah.
Can
Well,
we
no, not
be
anymore. I don't know about the non-denominational ones. Those
right?
guys make stuff
And
up. I don't know
right.
what they're
And
teaching.
so we cannot even be peripherally fully aware of all of the teachings that have been taught in the name of Jesus, can we?
But this is a
Can we?
fallacy.
No,
Yes,
no,
we can. This is a
no,
fallacy, and I'm gonna
no,
tell you
no, we
why.
cannot.
No, I got
So
you. I got you. I got you this time. This is a
no,
fallacy, and I can tell you why.
you
Okay.
don't even know what I'm saying, Manny.
But what you're saying, this premise is wrong. Is
Okay, what's my
that's what I'm
premise?
trying to say.
That's my
The
premise.
premise that you're trying to say is that of all these churches and all these verses of the Bible and all these different pastors and all these different churches that have been founded teaching Jesus Christ, they're all teaching something different. How could we possibly know what each one of them taught? Right? I mean,
No,
I think I'm doing a pretty good job
not
repeating what
which
you're
one
saying.
of them taught. Which one is true? Of
Okay,
all
yeah, that's
wait,
fine.
we know that all of these things have been taught. We cannot know all of the things that have been taught because we weren't there 400 years ago when
Okay,
they were teaching to some
but
bumpkin church out in the middle of nowhere, right?
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay,
Yeah, that's fine.
so we have all of these versions that we can't even know which ones have come across humanity's plate.
Yeah.
Which one was real?
I can tell you, brother. I can
The
tell you,
one
but
you believe in.
No, because I already told you I'm Catholic. I'm looking at the Orthodox, and I can tell you why. Okay, okay. This is the important part. All these different denominations, these 45,000 and everything else, they are an invention post 1600.
Why
Before
in the world would that matter?
it matters because when you're asking me which one is true, what you have to do is go to the source. And if we can go to the
Okay.
source of that church in the first century, we know what they're teaching. Those are the people
Okay.
that Jesus and the
Okay.
apostles.
So you're saying that Catholicism is the one and the true,
I think orthodoxy.
or orthodoxy. Okay. And they based theirs on the Torah, right?
One of the Old Testament contains the Torah, you know.
Right. And
Yeah.
the Christians based their beliefs on the God of the Torah, right?
But the different, you know what the Protestants do?
Is
When you
this a
say
yes
Christian,
or no? Did they or
but
did they or did they
it's
not?
all nuance. It's all nuance. You know
No,
what's
it's
interesting?
not.
No, but let me tell you something.
Did
Maybe
they
some
or
people didn't
did they
know.
not? Did Jesus have beliefs in a God?
Yeah, of course.
And what God was that?
Elohim.
Elohim, which is
Yeah.
now people call him Yahweh, right?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be the what is it, YHVW or whatever, or
YWHE,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And isn't it known as the Tetragrammaton? Isn't that what it's called?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Here, actually, I'm going to look at that one because I like it. The Tetragrammaton, yeah, it is the four-letter Hebrew name for God, translated as YHWH or J
Yahweh.
or is it Yahweh or Jehovah? Is how it's like said in
Yeah,
English.
they don't like
apparently.
saying the name. They don't like saying the name. They call him Hashem. The Jews call him Hashem.
Well, the original name has been lost to history, man. When they got taken to Babylon, whatever.
God told us his name. You know what his name was in Exodus?
No.
I am.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
bars.
Yeah.
That's bars.
No,
Moses
it's not.
Like, what do I call you? What do I call you? He goes,
That's not
tell him
even
my
how
name is.
No,
I
come on, man.
Oof.
Yeah,
I didn't know we were
I
rapping
am.
back then. I didn't know we were
So
rapping
yeah.
back
So
then.
anyway, the Tetragrammaton, those four letters, and it literally means the four letters. I love it. It's just one of the funniest things I've ever seen, man. It's literally says it's the four letters. It just cracks me up, man. But anyway, so can it be real, Manny, if it's not real?
I think it's real.
You think it's real, but how can it be real if it doesn't match reality? Like,
Bueno, again, and the thing is, you're never going to be able to prove it, brother. This is why it's called faith and not knowing.
okay,
Right?
well, why don't you just do a direct comparison and find out? You can know. This is not something that's unknowable. That's what I've been saying. You can take the claims that are made and then you compare them to actual demonstrable reality, and you figure out
And they check out, brother.
they do not, and do not lie to me again,
They check
Manny.
out, bro. They look good to me.
Well, you don't know. How can
Yeah,
you
I
say?
don't really know.
Oh, so now you say the truth. Why do you lie?
I don't know anything about genetics, bro. What do you want me to tell
So
you? I don't
why do
know.
you say they check out when you don't know?
They check
Because
out in my
you've never
ignorance.
ever have taken the time to go find out.
It doesn't matter
You've
to me.
wasted
Is
your
Jesus real or
time.
not? Is
You have
Jesus real or not?
wasted your time on these old fairy tales that
Well, let
are
me tell you something.
fantastical.
Yeah, fantastical. I love that word. But
Yes.
listen,
May I ask you
yeah,
one more question really fast, and then I'll let you talk
of
for a
course.
second, oh man.
Yeah.
Do you put stock
I
in
love this.
Do you put stock in fantasy or reality?
Like for what? My everyday life or whatever?
What do you put stock in, man? Do you know the term? Do you put stock? Do you know what that means?
But that's like to buy, no? To
Well,
like,
yes, but that means like, would you like, okay, yeah, like, what are you, would you invest yourself in? Do you invest yourself in fantasy or do you invest yourself
let me
in
return the
reality?
question. Let me return the question. For example, the fiction book written by Dostoevsky. That's a fake, fiction story,
Mhm.
but it was a very beautiful story. The
Yes.
como say the pain and punishment? No, what is it? Crime and punishment.
Crime and punishment. Yeah.
Crime and punishment. That was a
Yeah.
great. Okay, but that's not real. It didn't happen.
Well,
Coño, but
it's
you read it and you get something from it. Imagine the Bible that claims to be real and it's all the more fantastical. How much more you get from that? I think it's
but
interesting.
that's not how it works, man.
Why not?
Is it? No. Okay, Manny, I'm going to ask you this in all seriousness, okay? Like,
Yeah,
do you consider yourself to be a serious person?
not really.
Not really? You don't want to be taken seriously?
I do want to be taken seriously, but I don't take myself seriously because I know how irrational I can be, how driven by my passions and my flesh, my desires, my sin, my love of sin. Like I'm a I know that I'm trying to be good and I'm trying to do better and I'm trying to be a good father and I'm trying to be a good husband. But uh, without a greater understanding into the psyche of the why. Why do we want things that we don't want? Why do I do what I don't want? And why do I not do what I don't? You know what I mean? I
Why don't you
I
do the things
struggle.
you need to do? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I struggle, bro. So you asked me, am I a serious person? I don't know, brother. I don't really take myself seriously. I'm searching out here for the truth. I think the Bible's interesting, bro. You know?
Well, I think the Bible's very interesting, and I do think that everyone should read the Bible from cover
Yeah.
to cover, man.
Yeah.
Even though it sucks. I'm actually,
It's hard.
I've been stuck in Exodus for like weeks now.
Bro,
Yeah,
I'm stuck in
here, see my
Chronicles,
Bible. I don't know
bro.
if you can see that or not.
I can see it. It's a little
Wait,
blurry though.
yeah, that's my Precious Moments Bible. Do you know Precious Moments?
No, I don't
Like
know.
the
What
little
is that?
pictures of the little kids, like look all cute and everything. They make little
What, like
figurines.
a children's Bible?
Yeah. This Bible. Okay, no, it is a King James version, or it's
Oh, okay,
NKV.
okay.
It's yeah, New King James, but it is a full King James or New King James version. But it
Does
has
it
all
have?
these. It
Let me
has
ask
all
you
these
this:
little
does it have
indoctrination things, like
like
in
what?
Genesis 1 right here. Let me just read this first little sentence here,
Yeah,
if I can find this real quick. Uh, right here at the bottom of the page down here, it says,
yeah.
God did it in big letters. And then it says, how did this wonderful world in which we live in come to be? God Almighty, the great creator, made the heavens and the earth. Many people who think they are wise have tried to figure out other ways that the world could have been made. But I would rather believe God. Wouldn't you?
I
The
don't like
Bible
that.
tells us that he made the world out of nothing and that he hung it on nothing. Who but God Almighty could do that?
Yeah,
Dude,
I don't like that.
I know. This is
I don't
what you're
like that.
telling your children.
Yeah, but the thing is, what the difference is, and sorry, with much respect to you and your parents and your Protestant, past and upbringing, that kind of stuff, this like fervor that it has to be true and God did it literally this way and all that. That's a very like Protestant American evangelical thing that's very odd to me.
I know. And it sucks that Catholics try to do this too, because they try to worm their way out of it. Because it doesn't matter which way you slice the bread, Manny, the loaf is the same. It's going to be the same thing. The Jesus that saves you from your sins, is the Son of the God of the Torah, right?
Yes.
Right.
Well, no, he is him. He is him.
Okay, you can claim that. It doesn't explicitly say it in the book anyway.
It says it.
And
in fact,
doesn't matter.
You know where it says it in Exodus?
If he is him, if he is that same God, then it's even worse, Manny.
Why?
Because then he's lying through his teeth all throughout the New Testament.
Why?
Because he's preaching things that the God in the Old Testament doesn't believe.
Like what?
Like you should forgive your neighbors and that you should let your slaves go, he says at one point.
That's
although
in
he specifically in other places said he shouldn't. No,
listen.
The Jesus stuff, there is no Jesus in the Old Testament, okay?
Yes, there is. Brother.
No,
yes,
there is not.
I can tell you right now. Well, you just said about loving your neighbor, right? What he said about loving your neighbor, I believe it's in Numbers or in Deuteronomy.
What does it say about your neighbors, your Jewish neighbors?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it doesn't say love your neighbors. It says love your fellow.
Yeah, love your fellow Jew, and all those Gentiles that come to praise God.
What happens to the neighbors who aren't the Jews?
No, they get killed like the Canaanites.
Right. So, and you said this God is just.
Yeah.
So you're talking about that God is Jesus, right? Or Jesus is God, and that's not what he preached in the New Testament, is it?
When he came to preach in the New Testament, was the fulfillment of the prior covenant.
Right. Okay. Does that mean if you fulfill a covenant, does the covenant go away?
Yeah. Now you have the new covenant.
Nope. Okay, so every time you put your seatbelt on, you're fulfilling that law, right?
Yeah.
Does that mean that the law goes away? You fulfilled the law.
This is man's fault.
No. So Jesus fulfilled it, and then it never has to be observed again. Is what you're saying?
Listen, this is what I'm saying. There was an Adamic covenant. There was the Noah covenant. Then there was a covenant with Abraham. There was a covenant with David.
That's funny too. But reading through Genesis over the last month or so, the covenants, he does it with Abraham. He does it with Isaac. He does it with Jacob. He does, exactly. And it's the same exact covenant, Manny.
Okay, why? The covenants are limited in scale.
No, it's not. He tells. What does he tell Abraham? I'm going to make your children from the fathers of many generations. Yeah, right. Because he's supposed to be the father of all of it, right?
Yeah.
And then he tells
the Ishmaelites and everybody else.
And then the next time it was Jacob, it was Isaac next, right? And then he tells him, "I'm going to make you the father of many nations." And then it's Jacob, and he says, "I'm going to make you the father of many nations." He
goes, "Out of you I will make my nation." They renamed Jacob to Israel, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
That's at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the same.
Abraham creates many nations. One of his sons becomes Israel.
No, I just read it. He says he's all three of them. He says, you're going to be the father of many nations.
Right. But then why
does God have to keep coming to successive generations to make a covenant that he made that said your successive generations are going to be part of this covenant?
Each generation breaks them.
So what kind of God shouldn't these people be done?
Yeah.
So, but this God is like, no, wait, I'm gonna give you another chance. That's merciful. Yeah. But if you don't believe in him, believe it, then you go to burn in hell forever.
But
he's merciful.
That's a pretty Protestant belief part.
I did have one more. I did have another question.
Let me expand on that.
Oh, go ahead. Keep talking. Yeah.
The purpose of the Israel, and it's stated in the Bible, is to make them a light upon the world, so that all will come to know God. So that is the ultimate purpose, and that is how it points to Jesus, because it's through Jesus that we'll know of God, and that's the entire point. So when you're saying, it's just if you don't believe in him,
but all the people that were there believed in God.
Where
in Jesus' time when Jesus came.
Yeah, well, the Jews believed in God.
Whoa, but you are just like lost in this stuff, man. They already believed in a God. right? So
Yeah.
did so all of those people that believed in God, they were what, believing wrongly
No, the Jews
before
believed in
Jesus
Yahweh.
came? Like, what
No,
about all
no,
the people that came way before, or like on other continents and stuff that never had a chance to know Jesus?
no. Then God meets you where you are, brother. It's okay.
So why do
Figure
we
it out
need
with Him.
Jesus? So is it the better thing if you get to go to heaven if you never met Jesus or never heard about him? Shouldn't you just
The
keep your mouth
church teaches
shut?
that. Yeah.
Like
Well, that's one way to put it.
wouldn't that be better for everybody?
But we have a duty to spread the word of God.
So that everybody can go to hell.
No, because God writes in. This is what it says. God
Doesn't it
writes
say
into your
that the
heart.
majority of people that the way is narrow?
Yeah, super narrow.
Right,
So
right.
even if you know of Him, you're probably going to hell. I'm probably going to go to hell if I don't shape up.
You said it,
You know
not
what I
me,
mean?
brother.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. It's not like if I heard of Jesus. It's not this thing that the Protestants say, like saved by grace alone. Like, oh, I know of
Right.
Jesus and I believe in Him and I'm good to go. It don't work that way, bro.
Well, I don't
You
think
have
it
to
works like that at all,
cooperate.
because I don't think salvation is a thing, because sin is nonsense. Because
No,
Adam and
sin is
Eve
real.
doesn't work.
Sin is real. Sin is real,
How?
bro.
So you're saying that's just the thing that from eating a fruit.
Bueno, again, this is what I prefer.
Okay,
Okay,
hold
I like
on.
reading Enoch. Have you read the book of Enoch?
I have, but it's been forever, man.
But
Go ahead.
that's like the missing part that links up with Genesis, man.
I don't think it is, man.
Yeah.
You can't.
yeah.
No.
Why not?
Because the God is claimed to have done things.
Yeah.
So did the God do the things or not?
Yeah, for sure.
So how come the genetics doesn't work with the Adam and Eve story?
Well, no, doctor, whatever I just cited says it's okay.
Where did the other people come from? If
That's
we're
my
all connected,
point. Maybe they were hominids. I don't know, other monkeys.
So what? So what? All people aren't people? Is that what you're saying?
We're all like created in the image of God, but He had a relationship with Adam. I don't know.
So
He
this
created him
is
first.
back to you just making stuff up, man. You're
Justification.
Justification. So why are you justifying stuff? Why can't you have an actual rationale for your beliefs?
Listen to me, because you're thinking that it starts at Genesis. For me, it starts in the Gospels.
But
right? So if Jesus is real,
okay,
right?
But wait, that means wait. No, you're right there. You're right there. Okay, hold on. You're right there. Yeah. If Jesus is real, that means that the God is real. So you have to show the God is real before you can do anything with Jesus.
No, if Jesus is real,
bro.
the rest of it is true.
Fato.
Yeah, bro.
You cannot.
Yeah, bro. If Jesus is real, it's all kosher.
No.
Bring it all. Let me read
absolutely it all. Not. You're saying pick up in part 2 of the story.
Yeah. The part for the Gentiles.
So part 1 just doesn't matter.
No, it does matter. You should read it in light of part 2.
Bull.
It's like Star Wars, bro.
No.
You know, the original
You're saying read the ending and then use the beginning to justify the ending.
Well, no, it's not the ending. It's
That's not how it works, Manny. Okay, I do have. Okay, we were talking about, is your God just? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I right here. You see this? I am in Jeremiah 19. Okay.
I haven't gotten there yet, but
okay. This is your just God, okay? And he is saying to the people all of this stuff. And down here in verse 9, he says, "And I will make them eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and all shall eat the flesh of their neighbors in the siege, and in the distress with which their enemies and those who seek their life afflict them."
Yeah.
So as a punishment is what's going on here in the story. I know you haven't made it this far, but it's okay.
No, but it's talking about Baal worship, right? If
yes.
you scroll up, that's what they're talking about.
They're talking about the worshipers of Baal. And as a punishment,
people can get it. People can get it. Chop them down.
No, listen. This is your just God, you said. So as a punishment for not believing in him and doing other things with other gods, and they poured out drinks to the other god and everything.
No, it's not just that. What do they do? Right there. Read verse 5. Read verse 5.
Right.
What do these people do?
I was saying they have filled his place with the blood of the innocent and gone on building the high places of Baal to burn their children in the fire as burnt offerings to Baal, which I did not command or decree, nor did it enter my mind. Therefore the days are surely coming, says the Lord, when this place shall no more be called Topheth, or the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter.
Sacrificing your kids to the devil, bro. Get Kill them all.
Okay, so as a punishment for them killing their children and sacrificing them to some other
Genocide.
god, right, as genocide, he commands them to eat them instead.
Yeah. Well, no, in the siege, right? It's like, in the siege, you run out of food. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Talk about a
That
military expedition of the Jews or whatever.
would it ever this is as explicitly as a punishment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will make this city a horror, a thing to be hissed at. Everyone who passes by it will be horrified and will hiss because of all its disasters. This is your just God.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, but when somebody is doing evil things, is it justice to do like horrible evil to them?
Yeah.
It is. You think
That's
so?
That's what war's about.
Really? I thought war was about stopping people from doing evil things.
But you got to do evil things back.
Really? Because doesn't that make them not evil when you're doing them?
No, that subdues them.
And then so we in the process of fighting that war, if you go too far, right, what happens? Then you start doing, what do they call, war crimes?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So then you're doing evil things at that point, are you not? Aren't you being just? Aren't you being?
Let me give you a modern example. Right?
Hold, sir.
Okay.
Aren't you being just in your actions fighting that war?
Can we, sorry to change subject, can we go back to how the screen was, because the quality was better?
Oh, okay.
Like have the verse, and then for whatever reason it looks way better.
Oh, cool.
This looks fantastic. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, but if you're fighting that war, if you're prosecuting that war, and you are stopping the people who are doing the evil, like the Allies versus the Axis in World War II.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
At some point, if you start doing atrocities and you are committing evil, have you not gone beyond the bounds of justice?
I don't know. That depends. That's a very legalistic, rational mind thing.
No,
like for example,
this is
when we nuked Japan.
Isn't this definitionally right? And did we necessarily have to, or was that a thing about expedience? And was that justice?
That's where we get into these academic discussions.
I'm not talking. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
if it's okay for us, it's definitely okay for God. Let me tell you. Okay, He wants to whack these people, whatever.
Is it just? Okay, so let me put it this way. If you came across somebody who was flaying people alive and eating them, right? Well, I'll leave eating them out because that's part of the punishment. So they're killing their children and they are sacrificing them to some god, and you find them. Yeah. So now your punishment for them is to take those same children that they were punishing and to force those people to eat them. And you're going to say that's justice.
But again, this is as a consequence of the siege.
Right. But is this justice?
Yeah, this justice,
is okay. This is something that the God is doing. He is making the siege happen, and he is forcing the people in this instance to eat their own children.
That's how bad the siege is going to be. They're going to, instead of sacrificing their kids, they're going to eat them. That's how bad the siege is going to be. That's what it's saying there. And they get it, bro. And you get whacked, bro. You're sacrificing your kid to these devil gods. We're going to come at you.
And you think that's justice, Manny?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Stop child sacrifice, 100%.
It's a good thing that you don't expect people to take you seriously, man.
Okay, you asked me.
So you're telling me that if you found somebody, say you go down the street and some rando down the street you hear some screaming, and you go in the house and you find somebody in there torturing their children, right? And they're doing blood magic or whatever. And you take them
for generations. Right?
I don't care how long it's been going on. You find this situation. You walk in, you find this situation. This person is doing this person is doing unspeakable evil. So instead of ending that person, you decide to take that child from that situation, kill that child, and feed it to the person who was torturing it. No, and you're going to say that that's a just thing to do.
But you're reading too much into it. Again,
no, I'm not. That's exactly what it says. That's exactly what it says. It says the God will make this thing happen.
Because of the siege.
I will make this city a horror.
Let me ask you this. How else do you make the city a horror if not in a siege? Right?
Okay, you understand Manny, you are glossing over the fact that this is an abomination.
Yeah.
That your God, who you claim is just, is ordering. Who's saying he is going to make this happen.
Yeah.
And you think this is a just God.
Yes.
Okay, now this leads me to what another question I had for you.
Yeah.
Would you know the difference between good and evil?
Well, that's a very philosophical position.
No, this is a
Some
yes
would
or a no
say,
question, Randy.
I
Would
would say
you?
good is what God says.
Oh, that's
You
where
know,
I was going. So you
yeah.
believe in divine command theory?
I don't know that name.
You don't
You
know
know what I
that?
mean?
Div-
I've heard it, but that's like a Protestant thing to me. I don't
no,
know.
no, divine command theory.
It's like it's subjective, right? It's subjective because like the Japanese, I'm sure thought they were doing good when they invaded China. You see what I'm saying? But then we think we're doing good because we're
We're
nuking
not,
them,
but we're not talking
right?
about the Japanese. We're talking about God.
Yeah. So God is the
Divine
ultimate
command
good.
theory says that if God says it, that it is good. If God does
Yeah.
it, it is good because by his nature, God is all good.
Yeah. He uses bad for good. Yeah.
Right. So if he does something, we don't understand his ways, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. If you don't understand, we don't understand.
Right. So that's
Yeah.
called divine command theory, and it's nonsense. It
Okay.
because how all you have to do to get someone to do atrocities is convince them that their God has commanded it, and then they
Yeah.
go, "This is good."
Okay. Yeah.
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 So
That's a problem.
the way that you're believing that if God says it, it's good. That's a bad thing, Manny.
Yeah, but God's not talking to anybody anymore.
Oh, God doesn't talk to people now? What
He
about all
shouldn't
those
be.
people all over the world that says that God talks to them every day?
Those people very suspect. As
Oh,
you like that word.
so they're
Yeah.
suspect,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
your belief is not.
The prophetic age is over.
Really? Who
Yeah.
says?
Jesus.
Really?
Yeah.
That's just it. Isn't that kind of like how Islam says that this is the final version and there will be no more?
Exactly.
Right. So Jesus said the same thing, and then there was another one, or what?
Exactly. So you're like,
So
Muhammad, what's up, buddy?
which
You
one's
know?
real? You still
Well,
haven't showed me
I
that.
can tell you. I
You
can
still
tell you.
haven't showed me that your God is real out of the Christian denominations, and now we're throwing in Islam.
Well, again, my assertion in the Christian denomination discussion would be that the vast majority of them do believe in the same God. Right. So
Well,
that's one.
that's why it's called the Abrahamic God.
Right. And then
That's
two, with the Muslims, it's something called the Islamic dilemma. You like logic so much. I'm sure
mm,
maybe you've heard of this.
maybe
No?
what you got.
So the issue is, and this is as a product of its historical circumstances where Muhammad came up in. So without critiquing the theology, right? Just what is the words in the Quran? The Quran claims to confirm the prior scriptures and claims that Muhammad is in keeping with them.
Mm,
So the situation is that the Quran confirms the Bible, but the Bible contradicts Muhammad. Therefore, you have the dilemma, which is if Islam is true, then Christianity is true, which means it's false. Or
right.
if Quran is not true, then it's not true to begin with,
But you
right?
understand why that is, don't you?
Because it's
Because none
pointing
of
to
it's
the
true.
Bible.
Because none of it's true, Manny.
Bueno, okay, that's your point of view,
Well, no, that's the reality of the situation that all you people are not like looking at, man. That's the
Okay.
problem I have with all you people. Okay, check it out. Humanity has been lied to for generations. We have been told that faith is something that we should aspire to. We've been told that faith is a virtue. Faith is not a virtue, man. Faith
Yeah.
is a glaring character flaw.
But faith isn't one of the seven virtues.
You have been taught, just like I was taught, that faith is a good thing, right? A virtue is a,
You either have faith or you don't. I mean, I don't know if it's a good, I
but
don't know. I don't
in
know what to tell you.
my parents, well,
Yeah.
what you know the saying, you got to keep the faith, right? We're taught to keep the faith,
Yeah.
right? Because faith is a good thing, right?
Okay, you're supposed to love God. That's what the good thing is.
Is
You know,
faith supposed to be a good thing or not?
it
And you
depends. You
have to
better be
have
believing
faith
the
to
right
believe in
thing.
God, right?
You better believe the right thing, brother. If not,
Right.
it's
You better
screwy.
believe the right thing. That's what I've
Yeah, if
been
not,
trying to
it's all
get
messed
at.
up,
So how
brother.
do
It's
you
all
know
messed
which
up.
one's the right thing?
Okay, you start with Jesus.
Right. As long as you just start with Jesus, then you're
Yeah,
fine. And you just believe the right thing. But what
yeah.
about the things that's to believe in Jesus that are the wrong thing?
Well, it's okay.
Like, 'cause,
As long
so
as you believe in
how do you
Jesus.
know? You just decide, right? You
Yeah.
just decide what's right.
Oh, listen, I'm nobody to tell. Like, for example, let's say instead of talking to you as an atheist, like let's say you were a Protestant of some denomination, Hey, bro, I'm just gonna tell you some church history, and then that's it, bro. It's the rest is up to you. Have a
Right. So
relationship with
yeah,
Jesus, figure it
that's
out.
what I get
You know,
from a lot of Christians is the
yeah,
non-committal. Like, I'm not really trying to convince you of anything. This is just what I believe, and you can take it or leave it. Right.
yeah,
So what kind of belief system is that, dude?
brother. I'm trying my best, bro. But you're very hard.
But that's
You're a tough customer. You know what I'm saying?
that's
What else can I do? You
that's
know?
my point. Is you are in no way doing your best at
What do you want
all,
me to
Manny.
do? What do you want me to do? What do you want me
How
to do?
about you quit wasting time with an old storybook and you quit playing Fantasyland?
If I quit with the quote unquote right here, make sure you get the quotes in the frame. If I
Uh-huh.
quit with the storybook, then I wouldn't be talking to you, would I? Wouldn't be having a good time. I mean, this is a
Well,
good thing to come from this, anyways.
we could hang. You ain't got to lie to kick it, man. Like,
I'm not, but I'm not. But here's the thing. Let me tell you
but
this.
Manny,
Let me say one thing. Let me say one thing. Listen, but you keep saying lie, verdad, que I'm lying, or maybe I'm lying, whatever. Okay,
right?
pero logically, if I am lying, it means that I am actively trying to deceive you about something that I know is not true, right? What I'm telling
Mm,
you is I believe it, bro. I believe it. I'm
I
not lying. By
know,
definition, I'm
but
not lying to you.
I know that you believe it. But what
So I'm
I'm
not lying to you.
saying, well, no, you are lying to me because you know that your beliefs are incorrect.
I don't know
You,
that.
yes, you do,
No, I don't
Manny.
know that.
How are children made, Manny?
I know how mine were made. I'll tell you that.
Ah, yes. And are any other children made any other way?
Nah,
I mean, right? I mean, we do have in vitro fertilization now, but still, same
it's the same
principle.
thing.
Same
Same.
principle applies, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Same
And the
old, same
exception
old.
doesn't prove the rule, anyways.
Exactly. Right. So we know, we know, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So stop lying.
I'm not lying to you, bro.
Adam and
There's other
Eve,
people in Genesis too.
man, that doesn't make
Who are
it
the? Let me
better.
ask you, who are these other people, bro?
That Manny, that doesn't make it better. That makes it worse.
I don't know how it makes it worse. It makes it more interesting.
No, interesting doesn't matter at all.
Okay.
Stop doing that. It doesn't matter if it's a cool coincidence. It doesn't matter if it's interesting. It
You say
matters if it's
coincidence.
fucking true, Manny.
Okay, and it's the doctor, whoever from ChatGPT, this fella
Right. So
called the doctor.
how
Let's look him up. Why don't you look him up right now? Doctor Joshua Swamidas.
wow.
Let's see, who
Oh
is this
man.
guy, bro? Who is it?
All
Maybe
right.
he's a
Hold on, let
joke.
me
Maybe I'm about to embarrass myself. Let's see. Let's find out together.
I'm not even gonna be able to spell that name, dude. Like,
Uh, Swami. So maybe like an Indian
is it
name. SWA.
Joshua?
Yeah, Joshua. SWAMIDASS.
Swamidas?
Yeah.
American physician and academic, this guy right here.
So American competition biologist, physician, academic. Look, he does genomic medicine. Okay, bro.
Yeah.
That guy knows more than me, bro. What do you want me to tell you?
Okay, let me read it for this a second. A computational biologist, physician, academic, and author.
It's blurry again, so I can't follow along.
Oh, do I need to change my page to that one?
No. It's getting better. It's okay.
He focuses his research on applications of statistical machine learning and decision theory in the context of chemical biology and medicine.
Drug discovery, drug metabolism. Yeah.
Drug
Okay. So
and
here we go.
translational research, excuse me. Swamidas is the founder of Peaceful Science, where he writes regarding the advancement of the civic practice of science. Like the genealogical Adam and Eve. Okay. In 2019, he published the genealogical Adam and Eve. That's what we
University of
need.
California, Irving.
Hold on, I'm going to go back to Google real fast. I want to look at that book.
But again, I haven't looked this guy up. I don't know anything about him. You know.
Okay.
It's interesting, bro. Maybe buy that book, read it, and tell me what it says. I don't know.
Yeah, I am getting very, very sketchy vibes from this.
Like I know, but this is your bias. You know
well,
what I mean? I don't know what
well,
it is.
yes, the most prevalent, because like stuff like the Bible Project.
No, the first one
and
was Amazon. Go to
well,
Amazon.
right. That's where
What
you
is the
can.
rating? What's the
That's
rating
where
on
you can
Amazon?
buy it. Yes.
4.5. That's not bad.
Huh? Yeah, it's just the surprising science of universal ancestry. But that's the problem with the universal ancestry, bro.
My point is, but
Okay,
listen to
we're
me.
back.
This is all I'm trying to say. Okay, John. It's
Yeah,
John, no?
yeah.
That's okay.
Hey,
John, this is
John,
what I'm trying
Johnny,
to say.
Jonathan, just don't call me
Johnny.
asshole.
Okay, Johnny, this is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I don't know shit about DNA, bro. I
Okay.
know like loosely, okay? Like we have it, it's unique. You can tell if I'm the father of the children or not. You know what I
Yep.
mean? That's the limit of my knowledge.
Okay.
Okay. So everything
That's
else
all
I
you
have
need to
go off
know.
of, but after that, I need to go off of what you tell me. And then so
Okay.
you told me something last time, and you're like, "Hey, because of DNA, it can't be true."
Okay.
So I was like, I'm not a non-thinker. I said, okay, that's an interesting.
No.
Let me look it up. And
Manny,
then this guy says something else.
I want to make sure that you understand it. I do not think you're a stupid guy or anything, Manny. I think you're very intelligent. You're very well spoken, and I think you have a good head on your shoulders. But I think
Thank
that you have a very poor set of standards.
Maybe.
I don't think it's a maybe. I think it's very apparent. You already said you don't care if you're taken seriously.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't matter to you that you just spew nonsense.
But listen, the nonsense, quote unquote. Again, I want to make sure I get the quotes in here because I'm
Right.
not.
You said you don't know.
Agreeing,
You don't know.
I'm not trying to spew nonsense. I'm trying to represent the position of faith
Exactly.
in a reasonable way. That's all I'm trying to do.
Do you know? I'm going to give you my definition of faith. Okay. And this is not specifically mine. This is a definition that goes around a little bit. Faith is believing in things for no good reason, arguing against all reason, and never admitting when you are wrong.
Okay, maybe, but didn't I just show you this guy wrote a book about how maybe it could be true?
Okay, I'm going to tell you this one other thing about those ERVs, the endogenous retroviruses.
Yeah.
And we talked about
those. How they make COVID?
No. No. Okay. Those things they're in all of us, right?
Yeah.
So they're part of our DNA. That's one of the reasons we can tell that we're human. When you do the DNA scans, you can tell it's human DNA by finding those things, right?
Okay.
That's how we can tell that one of the ways we can tell the difference. Now, some of those ERVs are also found in other animals. Okay,
like monkeys or something,
like monkeys, the great apes, the bonobos,
like our cousins, is what you're saying,
and all the way down to like rats and chickens. Like, do you know that you're related to everything on the planet?
Yeah, to like trees too, and
to trees and grass and fungus and everything.
I mean, it stands to reason, right? We're all on the same planet,
right? And we all evolved together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you understand that? And our genetics, those ERVs, those endogenous retroviruses, the pieces that we see all around, that's one of the ways how we can trace our common ancestry. Because in order to get those same markers, we had to inherit them from the same creature way back when. Right. And we have so many of them that have built up over time that 8% of our entire genome is made out of those. And we can look at the other genomes of the other species on Earth, and we can pinpoint when and where we branched off from them.
Yeah, like that. I've seen the trees, how they do it.
Right. Yeah. So that's not what it says in Adam and Eve.
Okay.
So
but, don't look for science in the Bible.
No. The book is a claim. So in order to prove the claim, you have to take everything else that is not the claim and you have to compare it to the claim.
But you're saying I can't both believe in the Bible
and genetics.
Evolution,
genetics and Adam and Eve are mutually exclusive propositions. You know that term?
To that guy.
Okay, that guy is not. You either did not understand what he was saying fully, or he's full of shit.
I have no idea what he was saying. Okay, I didn't read the book.
There are lots of apologists that try to say that it can work. It does not.
Bueno,
It
bro, I'm not a that guy's a
okay,
doctor,
okay,
computational whatever,
okay,
you know?
yeah, yeah. And I bet you if
Like
you start
this is my point. I'm not ready to discredit him just because he agrees with me. I'm not gonna
right,
do that for you, bro.
okay,
You know what I mean?
okay. I want you to look at some people for me. Okay, look up Forrest Valkai. That's
I'm gonna put that
VALKI.
Forrest.
Forrest Valkai. VALKAI.
I got him here. I got him here.
Okay, and
It's like
the
Russian
other,
guy.
actually, he's from Oklahoma.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Renegade Science.
Yep, renegade science teacher.
Got it. Got
And
it.
he has a nice presentation called "The Light of Evolution."
Oh, I've seen this guy. I see this
Yeah,
guy's lives all the time. He
yes,
debates
yes,
believers and whatever.
he's amazing. He
Yeah,
he
yeah.
he is an actual biologist, and he'll give you actual real information about how reality works, about
Okay.
things that are demonstrated to be true,
Okay.
and they conflict with what the Bible says. So
Okay.
so what we're left with a conundrum is we have demonstrated reality that is true, and we have a claim to compare it against.
Okay.
They do not match. It
I
does
know, but
not fit either.
you're trying to put me in the evangelical box, bro. I don't think it's
It
literally the word of God.
it doesn't really matter if you don't believe it's the word of God. If you don't believe
The
if you
literal.
don't believe that these are the things that the God did, why do you believe the God?
Because I believe he did something like that, and that's
Wait,
our best
wait, what is this?
writing,
What is
best
that? What is
explanation.
that? You just go, I don't know.
You
So
gotta
it must
listen,
have been
bro. You
something
gotta
like it
read.
said in the old book.
Can I tell you? Can I
Like,
tell you what I think? You said you're gonna let me talk. Can I tell
not
you something that I think is interesting?
sure.
Okay. This is extra biblical, right? This is something else that influenced me. I find it very interesting that across the world, whether in Mexico, Chichen Itza, Machu Picchu in Peru, pyramids in Egypt and in Indonesia, all around the world, around like a habitable band,
Mm-hmm.
we have the same architecture. And it was architecture that I went to visit Machu Picchu and Chichen Itza. I thought was fake. I was
What?
looking at this
Why?
stuff
That
because it
isn't.
was like the rocks, they fit so you can't put a piece of paper in them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was like, this looks fake, bro. Is this some Disney production? That's what I was
No.
thinking. I was like, this
That's
is
just
odd.
skilled labor, man.
I don't know how skilled, you know what I mean?
No,
That's
no,
some
that's
we can't do
skilled
that now.
labor.
We can't
What?
do that now.
Sure we can.
And then
Man,
no, and then
everybody always says that. Go look at some stonemasonry videos.
yeah, I've
Yes,
seen
they
them.
can. Yes, they can.
I don't not
Man,
200 ton blocks.
come on. But
But listen. So
think
we
about
have this.
no, think,
Yeah,
man. They didn't have nothing else going on, dude. They
well,
had nothing. This was their
they had
entire
they had
world.
more going on than us. I'll tell you that. It's very interesting.
Bullshit, Manny.
And
Why do you
listen,
lie to me, man?
I'm not lying to you. And
You're
then you know what
telling
else is
me
interesting?
so
The
you're telling
older
me
pyramid.
that hundreds of
Yeah.
years ago, some dude living in the jungle that was making a temple out of big rocks, him and all of his family and all of their friends and all of their families, all they did all day, every day for like what, 75, 100 years was build a fucking temple, right?
No. Let me ask you. Have you heard of this
Stop
guy
it.
called
They had
Heather
more going on. All they
Graham?
did, man. Come
Have you heard of
on.
a guy called Graham Hancock? Maybe is the guy's
Yes,
name.
he's a pseudoscientist that does full of shit, man.
He goes to
He's
what's his
full
name,
of
Joe Rogan.
shit.
Okay, but he's talking about the Elder Dryas and the floods and
Yes,
everything,
I know.
right?
I've seen
Okay,
it. Yeah. Yeah,
so
it's
there's
not
this.
real. It's
Okay, there's this.
pseudoscience.
Okay, you say that.
Good. Just
Okay,
look up Graham Hancock pseudoscience and you could go find out, Manny.
okay, maybe I will. Maybe I will later. Okay,
Maybe
but
I
for
will.
right
Maybe I
now,
won't. I don't care
yeah.
about what's real.
No, but listen, what's real is these pyramids are there all around the world.
Yes, they
Okay,
are.
what's real is there was an Elder Dryas,
There
some
was
type of
meteor
flood.
impacts. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. There was.
Okay,
There was
there's
like
water erosion in Egypt and whatever. Okay,
there was lots
all
of things. Yep.
yeah,
And
all of this
that's
is
what
real.
Grant Hancock does. He takes things that really happened and he tries to stitch a narrative that this is what could have
But hear me out.
happened.
But hear me out.
Yeah.
Then we have. Did you know this? Did you know that? What's the Sumerian flood narrative? The Epic of Gilgamesh. Okay, the
Same
Epic
thing
of
as the Noah's
Gilgamesh.
Ark, man.
Yeah, bro. Noah's in there, right? Like
Well,
it's named. He's
yeah.
like, hey, I came to talk to you, Noah. It's a very similar story. The Vedas in India tell
Mhm.
you like a very like these beings descended down and they, these gods or whatever.
Do you think
Like
that's
all,
true?
yeah, I think that's what the Bible's talking
So
about
why
in the
aren't you
book of
Hindu?
Enoch. No, because my Bible contains that information.
Bullshit.
Yeah, it's the book of
That's
Enoch.
such nonsense, Manny. That
It's
is
the book of
such
Enoch.
utter nonsense.
They call them. Look at Genesis like 6. They're called the Nephilim and whatever.
Oh,
That's what they're called in
sure.
Genesis.
So as long as it's the same thing that you do with everything. As long as you can go, this means that, and this means this, and you take all these little strings and you tie a pretty little bow, and you say, "See, it works."
I go. It's interesting.
You are in no way a serious person.
I think it's interesting, bro.
I don't think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that you play games and you don't care about what's real. I don't understand why you do it. How old are you, bro?
I'm 35.
35. Jesus, man. I feel old.
I can't control what I was born.
No. It just blows me away that you do this to yourself.
No, but I can tell you why, bro. You're saying, I don't know why. I can tell you why. Because I can without, how do I phrase this? The person I am now and the way that I view, because, forget about the Bible and the killing of the sieges and the genetic code and whatever. Talk about me, the internal, the inside, right? Bro, the person I was before compared to who I am now when I deal with people, the way that I act and think and walk and whatever, I was like an amoral monster before. Okay, relatively. And I'm not saying that I was amoral because I was an atheist, right? It doesn't follow that you're an atheist. And
can we just say that you were an asshole?
Yeah, bro, for sure.
So you were just an asshole,
for sure.
And then you found God.
I was an asshole and I enjoyed it. That was the problem.
Most assholes do, man. That's why they're assholes.
Yeah, I was an asshole and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed saying rude things. I enjoyed judging people.
Most assholes enjoy talking shit.
I envied and whatever. And what's interesting to me now is, you say, oh, it's fake or whatever, bro. The tangible benefit of the relationship that I have with my family is fantastic, bro. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's cool. That's cool, man. I'm glad that you have found that you're not an asshole.
I still am, but I control it now.
Well,
you know what I mean?
But
I control it now.
So you need the feather to fly, is what you're saying?
Yeah, bro.
So congratulations, Dumbo.
Thank you.
You know you don't need the feather, right?
Okay, bro.
You can fly, bro. You can fly. You do not need the feather to fly, man.
Oh yeah, I did it 20 years something on my own.
Yeah.
Okay. And
here's the thing.
Luckily, or the grace of God, bro, I got to where I am now.
Here's the thing is you've done all of the stuff that you've done to improve yourself. You did that on your own. You may have used the teachings in the Bible, and please understand that I'm not saying that you can't find good things in the book. You can. You can also find extremely horrific things in the book. You get that, right? And do you understand?
Is this example here with the flesh eating and the whatever? I understand the context.
It's not a good one. It's not. I mean, and there's more.
These people get it, bro. There's justified punishment for being evil.
Yes, but is it just?
Yeah.
You think it's just to take the children who were being sacrificed?
Yeah.
And now feed them
with one tahaso.
So who was it just for? Was it just for the children?
For God.
Oh, it was just for God. So what about the people that he is putting the punishment on? Was the punishment just
to worship demons? Forget it.
Manny, why is your mind so broken, brother?
Okay, you say that,
Okay, this is not.
Let's put this to the modern context, right? So this thing about sacrificing children to this demon god Baal. Mm-hmm. Okay, bro, that informs my politics.
So when we find a devil worshiper type character that's doing nasty things to children, the punishment for them is to put them in jail and then take their children and feed them to them.
No, but the analogy would be
because that's what justice is.
No, this would be the analogy. Let's say we find a city of devil worshippers, and the city is doing all this devil worshiping thing, and we have to siege it.
So wouldn't if we were doing justice, would we not go on a rescue mission?
No, presumably you have to. They're defending the city, you know, with weapons or whatever magic these demons have. I
Yeah,
don't know.
and all of the
You know?
children who are being unjustly
They're like
sacrificed.
hostages. They're like in Gaza right now, where the Israelis are bombing them.
So
You know?
instead of doing a rescue mission, you're saying justice is to kill them and feed them to the perpetrators.
Oh no, the analogy is the same analogy would be if there's a city of these people doing this stuff, and then they're gonna fight us. They're not permitting a rescue mission because, you know, if you have a rescue mission, it's like you're not gonna get nobody shooting at you on the way in. Right?
Stop. It doesn't matter what their behavior is at this point. It matters what our behavior would be.
Yeah, we need to liquidate these
because people. The justice is being dispensed by us. Correct? Yes. So when we do horrendous evil things in the name of justice, have we not
Maybe it's justified?
No, that's are you so broken, bro?
It's like
that's not
Japan,
what justice
bro.
is. What is justice?
I don't even know. I don't know, man.
You don't know what justice is?
It depends how you want to define. Is it proportional? What's the purpose of it? You know.
Let's look up what Google says justice is. Okay.
Yeah. That's a heavy definition. You know what I'm saying? I don't got my dictionary on me, bro. You know.
Just behavior treatment, but that thanks a lot, Google. Come on, man. Yeah. A judge or magistrate. Come on, that's.
Yeah. You see, even Google doesn't know the answer, bro, and you're clowning on me, bro. If Google doesn't know, how do I know? Come on.
A concern for justice, peace, and genuine respect for the people is the quote. Okay, just behavior or treatment. So what is just behavior? Let's look at that.
Let me return the question to you. So was it just to nuke Japan twice to end the war?
I don't believe it was, no.
Okay, but it ended the war, right? So a lot of people were happy.
Yes, but
happened,
that's like history's happened and we can't change it. So it is what it is.
You know what the complaint was of the American people in the late 40s in regards to the nuking of Japan?
That it was completely reasonable.
No, that they didn't do it sooner. Why did we have to invade Okinawa before we nuked Japan?
Yeah, but
they were like, why even invade? We could have saved more American lives.
But they didn't know the particulars of the logistics and everything. And that's all just like fog of war.
But my point is that even as humans, we have this give and take of what is just, what is proportional, what is reasonable, right? Okay, bro, we struggle with that ourselves. How much less can we judge God?
Okay, so right here we have having a basis in or conforming to fact or reason, and this is the definition of just, right?
Yeah.
And conforming to a standard of correctness, right?
Okay, yeah.
So would it be correct to murder the children and feed them to the perpetrators? The ones that you are trying to save, the children you're trying to save.
No,
would it be correct?
That's not the purpose of attacking the city. It's not to save the kids.
Okay, another one is being what is merited, as in a just
you know
punishment.
What's merited for these people for devil worshiping and sacrificing kids is death.
Wait, whoa. The children were doing the sacrificing?
The people, listen.
The people were sacrificing the children.
The children. And then the children grow up. Okay,
whoa. The children haven't done that yet. Okay, the children have been sacrificed.
No, but not all of them.
No.
Firstborn.
What?
They sacrifice the first. That's the Baal worship does. They take the firstborn and they offer it to Baal. You know, so then what happens when the second kid raises up, has his own kids? He sacrificed. These people that are sacrificing the kids, they were kids too.
So you're saying, you're saying that the solution, the just merited punishment for this is to take the children that are being sacrificed and then feed them to them instead.
But that's not what they're saying. The Israelis are not feeding. No,
you're making the Lord is saying. That's what it says.
This is what you're saying. No, this is what you're saying. You're saying that the Israelis are going to take the children and feed it to them. That's not what the passage is saying.
No, I'm not. No.
In a siege.
No. I know. It says in a siege, they will do this. Why are they doing it? Why is the siege happening?
Bro. They don't got food.
Because God is doing it. This all-powerful God who could have just changed their hearts
That's not how God works.
Really, because in the Bible, God changes hearts all the time.
Okay, but hearts that are open to him to change. That's the
What?
key passage. That's the key part of the Bible.
When the Israelites are in Egypt, the
And
Pharaoh,
the Israelites betray him all the time.
the Pharaoh is going to let them go the very first time when Moses says, "Let my people go."
And then it says that God changes his heart.
Yeah, so God changes hearts all the time. And he wasn't open to being his heart changed. And why would it matter if a person was open to being changed? This is Almighty God.
There's something in Exodus before that happens that talks about the fact that because the Pharaoh wouldn't let him go to begin with, that God will let loose.
No. It says that he will not let them go because I'm going to change his heart. I'm going to harden his heart, and therefore he will not let them go.
I saw a video about that. I would have to get back to you. But that's a good point.
Why did God harden his heart, man? Yeah, and then you say that God, he can't change anybody's heart. He has to feed them their own children because that's justice.
Well, he had to punish the Egyptians too. He couldn't let them go off easy. I don't know.
You said that God's not talking to people anymore, but just do a hypothetical. If God were to talk to you and if you had this experience and you were dead set sure that your God was talking to you and you were like, wow, I didn't think you talked to anybody. And he was like, I'm making an exception for you, Manny, because I want you to know me. All right. And he says, go to your children's bedroom and kill them and eat them.
No.
You're not doing that, right?
No.
So you don't believe that what God says is real and true and honest. I just
don't think God would tell me that.
Well, okay, so what you're saying is that you get to decide what God does.
I would think I'm under a delusion. And
you are most definitely under many delusions, Manny.
Yeah. But that one specifically, that's a bad one. That's a bad one.
So if God commands it, is it good?
Yeah.
So if God commanded you to kill and eat your children, it would be good.
Yeah, but I wouldn't believe God would tell me to do that.
You already are convinced in this scenario that it is God. Would it be a good thing?
That'd be pretty bad.
Right. So I'm thinking your honest answer here is that it's not a good thing, right?
No, hell no, it's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
Every child is a gift from God.
So why would it be a good thing if this God commanded it of other people?
Well, no, context matters.
What does it? Because it's not a good thing for you. No. So it wouldn't be a good thing for me.
So, for example,
it wouldn't be a good thing for any other person that I know.
Well, but for example, the context of sacrificing your own child for God would be Abraham, right?
Right, which is another example of injustice.
Well, here, listen to this.
Your God is not a just God. Okay, your God is the God of injustice.
Okay, in your opinion, maybe you know better than God.
No, logically, your God is a.
I don't
think
really
about
believe in logic anymore.
Really, you don't believe in logic? Do you know what the laws of logic are?
But even that is like self-reasoning. You have to use logic to prove logic. You know what I mean? It's just as good as like using the Bible to prove the Bible. You know what I mean?
No, it is not.
Yeah.
You already said, can something be true and false at the same time?
Yeah, it's all these paradoxes. Too.
No,
they're all
this is a very simple question. Yes or no? Can something be true and false at the same time?
No.
No, it cannot, right? If the thing is true, then the thing is true, correct?
Yeah, it should be.
And if the thing is false, then the thing is false, right?
Should be, yeah.
Not should be, it is.
Yeah.
Right. And the two things cannot, that's the law of non-contradiction. They
can't meet.
They can't meet, right?
Yeah.
So you know this. So you don't have to use logic to like prove logic. You just know that the thing is the thing and the thing is not the thing.
Because of logic, right?
I know. But that's the thing. We have one basic assumption that we must make, right? And that is that we are dealing with the real world in our experiences.
Yeah, in our senses. And I think the real world is bigger than what we can see.
Well, Most definitely is. Like
Yeah,
most definitely.
fourth dimension and this and
Well, I
that
don't
and blah
know
blah blah.
about I don't know about all kinds of dimensions, but I know that we live in a world that is surrounded in different wavelengths of light and different
Including a
radio waves.
spiritual
And
one.
well, I would doubt that very,
Yeah,
very much.
including a spiritual one, brother.
Really, where's the spirit detector?
In your heart.
Oh wow, that's such a sweet, sweet thing. Oh, come on.
Open it up, baby. Let me in.
Man, but that's the thing is my like from where I am is open up your brain and let some actual like information
Overrated.
in. No, it's not.
Overrated.
No,
Overrated.
Manny. And you're what you are espousing is absolutely harmful. And I am worried about your kids if you teach them this shit, man.
Well, no, we're going to teach them, to be good. We're going to teach them that everyone sins and there's redemption available
Okay.
through Jesus
So
Christ.
are you going to tell them that Adam and Eve is true?
I'm going to tell them that something like that happened.
But
wait,
so you're going to lie to them. You are yes, you are. You explicitly just now said you're going to lie to your children.
No, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be like, a lot of people, including a person I know called John, thinks this is all bullshit.
You're going to do what that paragraph said. A lot of people.
I don't even like how they wrote
you did not like how that was in there, and you are going to do the exact same thing.
No,
you're going to say a lot of people. They say that this story can't be real.
Can't be real, impossible.
It is. It is impossible.
X and Y and blah blah blah. The genetics, very unlikely or impossible. I'll be like, but if there's something in here, bro, you better read it, figure it out on your own. You better read it.
Like I said, I am a proponent of everyone reading the Bible.
That's what I'm saying. Read it, bro. Read it. You gotta read it.
I also want, when you tell your children to read the book, I want you to also tell them.
Read it later, though. They shouldn't read it with kids. They should read a bunch of like science books, history books first. Like you have to have a real corpus of knowledge.
So what you're saying, is that they should have a grounding in reality before you throw the fantasy in their face.
I wouldn't phrase it like that.
But that's what you said.
But listen. I wouldn't phrase it like that. I wouldn't say the fantasy, blah, blah, blah. I would say, yeah, you definitely need to be aware of what's going on here and now first. Make sure you're not surprised by anything, and then read the Bible. Okay,
let me finish what I was saying. When you have them read the Bible, when you tell them they read the Bible,
I don't even know if
I want you to also tell them to do a direct comparison with all of those other things, that grounding in reality that you got them first.
Yeah, of course.
Compare the two. Yeah. And do you know what's going to happen?
It depends.
No, it doesn't. This is a very straightforward proposition, bro. They're going to find out. They're going to find out that the Bible is not true.
It's okay. That happened to me too. It's no big deal.
What do you mean it happened to you too?
I was an atheist too.
I don't think you were.
Why?
Because I don't think you ever lost your belief.
I can tell you when it was. You can't tell you. I wanted to tell you that story, but you keep telling me about genetic code and.
No, sure. Go ahead. Tell me.
Listen.
Tell me about your personal experience.
Yeah. I was like 12 or 13 or 14. I remember what my grandma wanted to go to church, and we're always walking to church if we couldn't get a ride. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it was around that time that South Park released an episode. Did you ever watch South Park, maybe?
Yeah, occasionally. I wasn't a big fan, but yeah, I've seen it.
There's an episode where Kyle, who's a little Jewish boy in the, right?
I know most of the characters.
He got like cancer or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't remember maybe it was testicular cancer, because, it was like a very funny show, And
sounds hilarious.
The parents come up to him and they're like, "Oh, Kyle, this is from God, and the book of Job, blah blah blah," right? And then Kyle says, he goes, because in the book of Job, the devil tells, or he only loves you because you understand, right?
Yeah. Do you understand that that's God doing all that stuff?
Right, exactly.
Right. That's it's the God being evil. It's the God being evil. In that story,
like doing a bet with the devil.
I know, and he's being evil.
Okay, but let me
evil.
Let me finish. So Kyle asked his parents a question, and the question was, "Mom, why would God care what the devil thinks?" Right? And I thought that was a super profound question. Mm-hmm. So one of these days that I'm walking with my grandma to church, I'm like, hey, do you know about the book of Job? She's like, yeah. And I was like, well, why does the devil care about what God thinks? And she's like, shut up, we don't ask questions. You know what I mean? And it was at that moment that I was like, this is nonsense. I
Yep.
was like, what are you talking? I can't ask questions. You know?
Okay. Yep. And then
So
you turned into an asshole.
yeah, I was young, so I don't know. I turned into an asshole late. You know,
Right.
it's the thing
So
is
when you
about
were
being
like
an
12 or
asshole.
14, you went, this stuff's not real. I don't have to worry about sinning. I don't have to worry about my soul because this is all nonsense.
No,
And
you know what
then,
it was? You know what it was? It was like this stuff is bullshit and I'm smarter than these people and they think I'm smarter. And because I'm smarter, I become arrogant. And then I start treating like that was the way. And I thought that I could get by because I'm so smart. I don't really have to put effort. I'm just so smart. And that was like a recurring
well,
thing,
that was
you know?
probably your problem, is that you thought
Yeah.
you could just get by and not actually have to learn anything and not
Yep.
actually have to do any work. You
Yep.
just, right. So that's why you've fallen for this nonsense, is because you never
If you want
did
to.
any work.
Bueno, I don't know. It's not that I didn't. I have a very good career.
That's
You know,
cool.
I'm very
I'm not
lucky.
saying
You
you've
know,
never worked. I'm saying
yeah.
the work to figure out what is reality. You live in fantasy land, bro.
No, because when I was an atheist, I loved Richard Dawkins. I loved what's that guy that died of throat cancer?
Lots of people.
Christopher Hitchens.
Oh,
Christopher
yeah,
Hitchens.
Christopher Hitchens is amazing.
Bro,
Oh, he was one of the guys who, like, back in the day. Oh man, when I found him, like, he was like a
he was fantastic.
kindred spirit, man.
Yeah, but the guy was wonderful. So Christopher Hitchens, the other guy,
Okay,
Sam,
so
the four horsemen of the
yeah,
apocalypse. They
yeah,
call him
right, the Four Horsemen. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
uh,
so let me ask you a question about Christopher Hitchens then. Like,
yeah.
if you
I got his books here.
okay, so why are you still involved in this nonsensical fantasy land?
Brother, because it's better.
So what you are telling me is that you are disregarding reality on purpose.
You know, that's what I can see how you would say that, you know, as a former atheist.
No, is that what you're saying? Reality
I'm just
doesn't
saying,
matter.
I think reality isn't what we think it is, man.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
I'm talking
That would be
about
the way I say it.
stop,
Yeah.
Manny. You know that I'm talking about demonstrated reality, things that we know for a fact are true.
Okay.
Like
the
genetics.
genetic code thing or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, but we
Like-
go back to that. I don't
like
know.
other things.
I told you about this guy who wrote this book. I don't know.
Do you believe the earth is flat?
No.
Well, the Bible says the earth is flat.
Well, and it also says it stopped the sun to let the
Right.
battle go longer.
And we already know that the sun is not stopping in the sky.
Yeah, it shouldn't. That'd be a catastrophe.
No, it's not, because that would mean that the earth stopped rotating.
Right. Or time
Right.
stopped or some shit. I don't know.
No, come on.
No,
Right.
I don't know.
And you understand that if you're going to claim miracle, that is it is the definition of the least likely scenario, or else it wouldn't be a miracle.
Listen,
Right.
I'm just telling you, bro, is Jesus real?
No.
Yeah, he is.
Jesus was a liar and a fraud.
Okay, but the question was he real?
Was he a real guy? I don't know if there was an actual guy. There apparently was somebody that they wrote some stories about.
Yeah. In fact, what's this guy's name, bro? Bart Ehrman.
Yep.
Bart Ehrman.
Yeah, he's
writer. He says, Jesus.
Yep.
Jesus
I've heard him argue with the mythicists all the time, and he says that there's enough evidence that there most likely was a guy. And I tend to agree. I'm not invested in that so much, whether there was or not. It doesn't matter if Jesus was real or not. It matters if the God is real. If the things that the God is supposed to have done do not line up with things that we know for fact are real, the God therefore cannot be real.
I mean,
this is basic.
We're spinning the circles here.
Okay, no, we're spinning in circles because you're saying, well, I don't know, it could happen some way. When in reality, we don't do that. We look at what actually fucking happened.
I know what you're saying. I know.
But
listen
see,
to me. It's better, bro.
Okay,
it's
what
better.
I don't get.
Do you have kids?
I do have. I haven't seen him in about 20 years, though, man.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's all good. Actually, happy birthday, Kyla. Today is my daughter's birthday, actually.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had kids,
yesterday. Sorry, yesterday was your birthday. Sorry.
listen, when I had kids, okay, this is really the crux of it. Is when I had children or whatever. I didn't want to. There was a fear that was, am I falling short? Am I being the best father I can be?
Right.
How do I define what it is to be a best father? How do I make myself better?
And
right?
You would have been much better served actually learning about reality and teaching your children.
The reality, whether or not the genetic code and this and that doesn't change my disposition towards my family. None of that matters to me. Okay. What matters to me
get
is
off of this page.
How am I going to treat my family? How am I going to speak to my family? How am I going to speak to my neighbors? What words will I use to speak to them?
That's awesome.
And I find immense, like, fantastic teachings with Jesus. And then you pair that with the fact that he was a real person. People believe that he was God. They died for that. He fits within the story of the Old Testament. Bro, I'm just reading it to find out what's in there.
Well, that's cool. But so why are you saying that you believe in the God?
Because it's part of the instrumental story of Jesus.
But, right. But you're saying skip all the old stuff and only go with Jesus.
I started with the old stuff.
Then why?
Because I'm getting to Jesus. I got to go through the Old Testament to get to the New Testament. I got to read it.
Okay, so you could read the Old Testament and you could go, this is absurd.
You have to suspend disbelief.
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, that's the difference.
Manny, that's literally the definition of playing make-believe, brother.
Okay, but
you have to suspend disbelief.
What's the definition of making believe?
Do you know William Lane Craig, right? You know that guy?
Yeah, he's an apologist, no?
Yeah, his thing is that what does he say? Contrary to raising our standards for Jesus, we should lower our standards.
He says that?
Yes.
Sounds like a terrible argument.
That's what you're saying.
I don't even say
that sounds like a terrible argument, Manny. Okay, and that's your argument.
Okay, but I don't even say lower your standards.
That's you.
But this is what I say. I say don't lower them. Just don't have any. Just read it. Suspend disbelief.
Okay, Manny.
Read it.
Okay, Manny. Have no standards.
Yeah.
Go and lie to your children. Tell them that it doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what's real. It doesn't matter that people can just convince you that shit matters when it's fucking fantasy.
Okay, Jesus is real.
Jesus may have been a real guy. The claims that Jesus made in the Bible are farcical.
Okay, people died for them.
It doesn't matter. How many people died for Hitler?
Yeah, plenty.
Hitler was real too. Is Hitler God?
No,
a lot of people thought that he was.
I'll tell you this though. I bet if Hitler claimed to be God, they would have fired his ass. I'll tell you that right now.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they would have been like, this guy's crazy.
Do you know what it said on the SS uniform? What our current Secretary of Defense has it tattooed on the back of his arm? It says God wills it.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Gott mit uns.
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, but that's not Hitler saying that he is God. Right.
Right. It's saying that God wants only the Aryan people to be around.
No, it means God is with us.
God wills it.
No, Gott mit uns.
That's not. With us. I'm not saying God. That's not what his tattoo says.
You're talking about Deus Volt.
Yes, Deus Volt. God wills it.
Yeah.
Yes, and that was on every SS uniform. And our current what?
Where in the SS uniform? I love World War II history.
I think it's on the belt buckles or something.
No, the belt buckle says Gott mit uns, and that was for every German soldier.
Yeah. So God, well, even that's right there to say God is with us. And what were they doing?
It's on our money. So come on. It says in God we trust, and we use the money to buy drugs. So,
right. When did it get put on the money?
In the 40s or 50s,
like 52 or something like that, 54 or something like that. And did you know who put it on there? Yeah, just some ridiculous thing. Yeah. Not because it's real.
Was it Eisenhower? If it's 52,
it was the Republicans back in the day. Yeah,
yeah, it's got to be Eisenhower.
But that doesn't mean God's real. You get that, right?
Yeah, I know.
That's just something that people put on the money.
The correct analogy would be if Hitler claimed to be God,
Uh-huh.
would the German people have followed him? I think the
Yeah.
answer is no.
Do you know that Donald Trump has a mythology built up around him?
Or what? That he claims to be God?
That he claims, his followers claim that he's the stand-in for Jesus right now.
Listen, and maybe
because God uses evil people.
No, I think they're all evil, but whatever.
Hey, okay. Side note. We're gonna just change tack for just 1 second. Did you vote?
Yeah, I voted.
Who'd you vote for?
I voted for Trump.
Why?
Because, bro, Kamala Harris, she, if I had to tell you a couple of reasons, what I would say is I know that they put her in charge of the border, and they let in like 20 million of my cousins. And I didn't appreciate that. I didn't appreciate the fact that she seems to be just kind of protecting Biden, saying that he was up to date and fully okay when it was clear that he was like lacking. And she seems to be like a lamb, bro. It's like whatever they tell her, she'll say, And I don't. It's a protest vote, really. It's not that I like Trump.
Well, that's
I don't
bullshit.
like the system. I don't like the system.
Well, why the fuck would you? So you don't like the system because it's what, corrupt?
Yeah, it's all shitty.
So you voted for you voted for the most corrupt person.
The orangutan and the bull in the China shop to just break everything. Fuck it. Let's go.
Manny, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
Okay. Some people think differently, Did you like the COVID lockdowns too or no?
Manny, do you know that they happened under Trump?
I know. Terrible. Guy's an idiot.
So you voted for him?
Yeah.
So what does that make you, Manny? If you voted for the idiot, what the fuck does that make you?
Yeah, a sucker. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that makes you an idiot, dude.
Okay.
I mean, Manny, I'm serious. I don't think you're that stupid, man. I don't. We've been having this conversation for a while now, and you're an intelligent man. You are. So why are you suspending your thought processes?
Well, it's not that. Look, we attach value to different things, and one of the big ones for me was, and this maybe you don't agree, maybe you don't think it's important, but when they say things like, we need to promote trans athletes or promote gender
you fell for
whatever
it.
For the kids or whatever.
You fucking fell.
I'm allergic to that shit.
You fell for it. How many trans
athletes? They're doing it.
Okay. How many athletes are there in the NCAA? Do you know this?
The NCAA? What is this? The basketball people?
No, the National College Athletics Association.
Oh, all of the 10,000 maybe.
There are 500,000, 500,000 athletes. Yeah, in all of the NCAA, all of the college sports that's in that division or league or whatever they call it in the NCAA, right? And you see that in college sports all the time, right? The NCAA. You see that, yeah.
But it's all the sports.
Yeah, it covers. There's a whole that's like. They cover all of the sports for college. It's like I don't think it might be a league. I'm not sure what to call it. But anyway, It's like an organization that reigns over them. They do policy and all that shit, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So there are 500,000 athletes in the NCAA. Yeah. There are, at last count, there was less than 10 because a couple of them had graduated. There are less than 10 trans athletes in all of the NCAA. In those 500,000, there are less than 10 people.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that this is an issue that we need to, as a country, be having a fucking hissy fit about?
Well, no, that's your opinion,
Manny,
I think 10 is too much.
10.
Yeah.
What would you say? 10 is too much?
10 is too much.
Do you know anything about what trans people are?
I have a general idea. Yeah.
Do you? I bet you don't know jack shit. Just like you don't know jack shit about genetics. You don't know anything about anything else that disproves the Bible because you never bothered to look.
Okay.
But do you know that people are born that are different than the norm?
You're talking about like hermaphrodites?
No, I'm talking about, do you know that people are born that are different than the norm?
What do you mean?
Do you know that people are born who are different than the norm?
I mean, yeah, if we're going to put in quotations.
Yes or no? Yeah. Do you know this or not? People are born differently. What are you fucking doing? Do you know this
You're
or
using the
not?
quotations. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
the norm, as in
The norm,
the normal.
whatever the normal is. Yes.
Yes, whether that be male or female. Are you aware that there are people that are born differently?
But can you explain that to me? Whether they're born male,
Whether
but you think
whether
they think they're female or something like this?
sometimes people are born with both parts.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're
hermaphrodites. I
born.
said that. I did
Okay,
say
okay.
hermaphrodite.
Hermaphrodite is an
I did say
offensive.
that. It is
Hermaphrodite.
offensive.
Wait, did you stop? Hermaphrodite is an offensive term. It is from plants. We are
Really?
not plants. Okay.
I never knew that.
So
I thought
don't
that's
call
what they
people.
called it.
That's why people get very upset when people call them like Hermes and shit like that. That's a plant term.
Hermes?
Hermes, yes, as in
Bro, I've
short
never
for.
heard any of this stuff.
Okay.
I thought that was a scientific
Okay,
term.
hermaphrodite is not a
But this is
thing.
another thing. You see what I'm saying? It's so weird to talk about it. You can't use certain words. It's
I
like,
know, and it's the
like, what's the
Manny. The entire issue is because you don't care. All of these things are lost on you because you refuse to lift your brain up.
Okay, that's your opinion, you know.
Well, Manny,
I didn't make the thing up about the border.
About what? That they put her in charge of the border? That's not true.
Not just her, but the entire administration.
That's okay, Manny. That's not true.
She was the border czar.
No, there was no such thing as a border czar.
I saw it plenty of times.
Yes, the Republicans fucking made it up and lied to you.
MSNBC and CNN. And
right, because the Republicans, Manny, because the Republicans made up this term and they called her the border czar. Everyone else was.
The term czar has been used plenty of times in American administrations
yes,
to denote a special interest.
Like the drug czar. Yes.
Exactly. And they named her the border czar.
No, okay. Manny. The Republicans, Manny, would you? The Republicans called.
Why don't you Google it? Why don't you Google it?
The Republicans called her the border czar.
She called herself the border czar.
Would you let me finish my fucking sentence? She was tasked with going to 3 Central American countries and negotiating with their leaders, which she did. And they got very favorable terms from those countries.
No, the best, 20 million. That's a great improvement.
What you just believe what Trump says, don't you?
Bro, I listen.
The best estimates,
best
estimates that I've seen that of people that cross the border, like what are you going to call it? Illegal, which is not a crime.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's a civil infraction.
It's a crime, bro. To enter across the United States border,
it becomes a crime if you have been deported and you try to come back. When you come to the United States,
let's look that up.
It's not
Let's
sure.
Let's look it up, bro. Is entering the United States without permission a crime? Without legal whatever the term is.
Let me change my page.
It's blurry. I can't see.
It says,
yes, entering the U.S. is a crime.
Depending on the circumstances. It classifies it as a misdemeanor or a felony, depending on the circumstances. Right. It's not everyone is civil versus criminal. While immigration violations are often considered civil offenses, certain actions like unlawful entry and re-entry can lead to criminal charges and penalties. Lead to. If you do, especially
the Biden administration, because may is the operative word.
Nobody. What are you talking about? The Biden administration?
Well, no, that's Kamala Harris. I lump her in with Joe Biden. You know, they're part of the same administration.
Yes.
They were carrying out these policies. They were very favorable to the immigrants.
You mean they followed the law?
No, they didn't have to. They didn't have to do.
What are you fucking talking about? They didn't have to follow the law.
No, I can tell you. They ended the Trump policy.
You are such a joke, man.
No, listen, they ended the Trump
policy. They didn't have to follow the law.
No, you said that. I said they didn't have to end the Trump policy of remain in Mexico. So they
didn't end it. It expired and they didn't renew it.
They should have renewed it.
No, they shouldn't have. You have no clue. How could you even think that you know what you're talking about? You don't know a damn thing. I
live it, bro. I live the immigrant experience, bro. I know what I'm talking about.
So you're here legally, right?
Yeah.
Where'd you come from? Cuba?
No, I was born here.
You were born here. Your parents come from Cuba?
My dad's Cuban, my mom's Nicaraguan.
Oh, cool.
And they both came illegally.
Illegally.
Yeah.
And you were born here.
Yeah.
So, but you're a U.S. citizen.
Yeah. And they are too now.
Do you know that
amnestied and all this?
Do you know that Trump signed an executive order to take away your citizenship?
I was unaware of this.
He did one of the first things he did. He signed an order taking away birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if he wins in court, that means that you, sir, are no longer a U.S. citizen.
Well, no,
congratulations, you voted for the moron.
I don't think it'll apply retroactively.
Yes, Manny, that's what the order says, is that if you were born here by coming from any migrant and you happen to be born here, you're not here. You're not one of us.
Okay. I mean, that's the prerogative of the nation.
What?
That's the prerogative of the nation.
No, Manny, it's in the Constitution of the founding documents of this nation that if you are born here, you are a U.S. citizen. He cannot take that away.
Okay, the courts won't let him. Don't worry about it.
Right, except that the courts weren't supposed to let him run for office this time because he's an insurrectionist. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it on TV. That was bad.
Right, and then you voted for him. You voted for the only fucking president in U.S. history to actively try to overthrow our government, and you fucking voted for him, you traitorous bitch.
But why are you getting so upset, bro?
Because do you know how many people are about to fucking suffer? Are you stocking up yet? Do you know there's no more ships coming? I've been
stocking up since his first administration.
No, Manny. Donald Trump's little trade war that he just set off.
I got a video about it on my YouTube channel.
Do you know that there are no more ships coming?
Okay.
Have you seen the stories about the ports on the West Coast? They're fucking ghost towns.
I mean, I haven't seen that.
Are you stocking up? Have you got your beans and rice?
Yeah.
Because when you go to the store, they're not going to be there.
Well, I just
are you taking care of your family, Manny?
You know.
Are you taking care of your family because the shit it just hit the fucking fan? Are you paying attention at all?
You seem a little maybe, hysterical about this.
Manny, you're going to think that in about 3 weeks when you go to the store and there's nothing on the fucking shelves.
No, I check the news every day. I haven't seen anything with this level of alarm.
Manny, what news do you watch?
I go to Market Watch. That's
what's the market doing?
Well, the market has rebounded.
Has it?
A little bit. It's gained a little bit more than half of its loss.
Where was the market when Trump took office?
I don't remember.
Right. Yeah, you watch the news and you pay attention. Come on. Where was the market when Trump took office?
Either at or close to all-time highs.
Yeah, and where is it now?
Not there.
Not there. And how fast did it go down, Manny?
Shit, every time he tweets about fucking tariffs.
Every time he does any damn thing, it goes down. Do you know why that is? Because he's an absolute fucking lunatic.
Well, yeah.
Do you know what happens when there's no food?
Well, again, we are one of the largest food producers in the world. I think we'll be okay.
Manny, what do you think is going to happen when the things that we get from all over the world are no longer coming?
So again, I don't think it's going to be that dramatic.
Manny, you are not paying attention.
It just seems very emotionally invested.
Yeah, I am, because people are going to die.
I don't think it's going to get like that bad.
Coming from the unserious person who does,
just relax.
Just relax. It's fine. Don't worry about that. He doesn't care about your rights. He doesn't care about you being a citizen. He doesn't care about the American people at all.
Well, okay. Remember, over half of them voted for him, right?
So, because
I'm not an avatar for everybody. Okay?
Manny,
I'm just some guy. Okay.
You're just some guy who thinks that it was a good idea to vote for the most fucking evil guy that was running.
The least worst option, in my opinion.
Manny, you are such a joke. Do you know Kamala Harris's qualifications for being the president?
It's Kamala.
It's Kamala. Her name is Kamala Harris. Yeah. Kamala. And do you know what her qualifications are?
Yeah, she's excellent on paper.
Do you know the degrees she holds?
I don't know, but I'm sure she's
She
planning.
holds degrees in economics, political science, and I think business.
Yeah, I've
Or
seen this lady, bro. A judge of
what?
character. This lady just repeats whatever they tell her.
No, she does not. And if you think that, then you are repeating bullshit that you've been told.
I voted for Hillary Clinton, so it's not like I'm some lunatic.
Well, it kind of sounds like you are.
I voted for Hillary Clinton, then I voted for Joe Biden.
Okay, then what happened?
Yeah, I'm just telling you, bro. I was sick with these freaking people lying to me all the time, and I was like, bro, if I'm gonna get lied to,
oh my God, Manny, you're sick of
get
people.
Lied to. If I'm gonna get lied to, I'm gonna pick a liar. The guy that I know is lying to me all the time. I'm gonna pick that guy.
What the fuck? You're sick of lying, so you vote for the liar.
I hate the vain righteousness of like the left, like they're so much better and all this, and they're just a bunch of liars.
Okay, Manny, like Jesus Christ, dude. What the fuck? Oh,
I'm a unique person, brother. What do you want me to tell you?
Okay. Kamala Harris graduated in 1986 with a degree in political science and economics, and she graduated in 1989 with a Juris Doctor. She has a law degree.
I think my baby's crying.
Oh, do you need to go?
Let's give it like, till 1 o'clock.
All right. All right.
13 more minutes.
We'll give it a minute or two. Okay. But do you get that she was eminently qualified?
On paper. Yeah.
Manny.
Like Hillary Clinton is way more qualified than she is.
What on paper, her qualifications are impeccable, immaculate.
She's just not a real person, bro.
You are a fucking poser, lying sack of shit, Manny. I'm sorry that because everything you say is fucking ridiculous. You are tired of liars.
But you like it.
No, I fucking don't. And I'm actually getting very offended.
But why are you getting offended?
Because you're full of shit and you laugh about it. You're the most unserious person, and I cannot stand you. You're a fucking liar. Do you know the term lying sack of shit? Liar.